up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. Water is wet and RPS members are shipping as usual. Our NBA content has been on fire since the beginning of the season. I kicked off the week by shipping a WFBBC seat on FanDuel using a low-owned Isaiah Livers recommended on the Premium Final Countdown show.
I hope he comes off the bench because I know for a fact they love this kid. They're going to give him run no matter what. They're probably going to push him, and he's $3,100.
Our premium content comes through big time, whether it's our up to lock shows, heat maps, core plays, or playbook. Join us today so you can start shipping too. I wasn't the only one shipping a seat last week. Our guy Locke secured a DraftKings NBA Live Final seat as well. AP's core plays from Sunday helped a bunch of members win too. Junior hit for $3,000, while Nick Story shipped for over $15K. Steve Boynton used our core plays and playbook to make a late swap that won him $3,000 in NBA. And Punisher used the NBA heat map to ship $100,000 on DraftKings. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video as well. Keep the good mojo going. Our NFL dominance continued into week 8 as well with some big wins. D-Hops shipped for $4K on FanDuel. EjoCam won $5K. And Dirty Deeds 30 hit for $7,500. Some of our best screenshots aren't necessarily the huge scores. Bankroll building is a big part of becoming successful, and we love to see the good ROI hits too. Cusplove illustrated this perfectly, turning $2 into $800, while Wes turned $18 into $2,500 on DraftKings, and Jalapeno turned $198 into a monster $77K. His great pizza brought the great mojo in Cincinnati. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo. We're back for a week 9 edition of the Off the Chalk Show. Fired up here. Got the extra hour of sleep in, fall back, spring ahead. You guys know how it works. Got my guys JT Hayes and AP with me, and I think we got one of the best slates of the season. I love this slate. It's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of game theory to it with the fact of only 10 games versus normally more, only 2 afternoon games, and there's staggered time sets for late swap. Quarterback decisions that we'll get to in a minute, I think is going to be one of the biggest conversations on top of running back. We always have the value plays at the cheap price tags. But AP, I'm going to start with you, man. I'm going to bring you in right away. How you feeling about this week 9 slate we got ahead of us here?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, we say it each and every week, you know, the slate from a tournament perspective looks good. And then these chalk plays hit, but I feel like we do a really good job of adapting. And you know, I think we've done over the last few weeks a good job of identifying what chalk is the chalk you want to eat and what chalk is the chalk that you want to pivot off of. And I feel good. You know, we were talking pre-show. It's been a good week, quietly, a very good NBA week. Tambo, the Tambo heater is just fully alive. I feel like we're going to have a big NFL week, guys. I feel very good. Very, very good.
We've been waiting for it, man. I know I have, at least for the classic slate. I've been hitting everywhere else, so I definitely appreciate it. I'm very thankful for that, but I would love to hit a classic slate. I think this week's going to be it. I said pre-show. If it's not this week, maybe never, because I feel so good about this week. We're going to talk about it. Before I bring JT Hayes in, guys, do me a favor on your way in. We're aiming. We just hit the fastest 200 likes ever. We had 130 on the way in. You guys know what the target is. 750 likes is the goal. It's free. It's easy. You click the button. It's that simple. And if you guys haven't subscribed, we crossed the 13,000 mark. We're going for 15 now. So do that as well while you're at it. JT Hayes, I'll bring you in, man. How are you feeling about this week 9 as we get into it here?
I feel great. Exciting week, exciting games. The first place Atlanta Falcons are on the slate. That's always very interesting whenever I get to say that phrase, which given the state of the NFC South will probably be for a little bit longer anyway. We'll but just a fantastic slate today. Good week so far. and excited to get into it because, like you guys are saying, there's a couple of contrarian plays here that are just very, very tantalizing in terms of how good they look on paper against the opposition.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. And yeah, AP, that's another thing. Again, we're back to a slate with no Chiefs, but we do got Kyle Pitts. So we'll get to him later on, I'm sure, maybe even when we talk a little quarterback. But let's do that. Let's hop right in, AP. We'll go to the quarterback position. I think what had happened here, like you do the GPP first look show with Crain and with Locks, our guy, and you guys go through it and look at it. Just the first look, like you always say. And, ownership, I think, has evened out. We always say this at the quarterback position. There's almost no point in really even talking about it beyond, yeah, these guys are owned, but then sometimes their stack pieces are not. So it always gets spread out. A week like this, I think so even more. And it looks to me, AP, like the Josh Allen ownership has come down some to really space it out. So now you got like Allen, then it's a mix of the Seattle-Arizona game with Geno and Kyler. You've got Trevor Lawrence, easy to stack with some pieces that are popping into the optimizers. You've got Aaron Rodgers in that Green Bay-Detroit game. So AP, talk to us a little bit about quarterback, what your thoughts are, and then what you're doing for the slate for this week.
Yeah, I still see Josh Allen kind of getting up there in the 15 to 18% range. His projection across the industry is substantially higher than your next guy, Kyler Murray. I mean, we're talking like 5 points higher in a lot of places. So we know, projections tend to dictate ownership, and Josh Allen is always a guy that's going to get a lot of ownership. So I still think he's going to be up there. And I think we were talking earlier, Tambo, and I think we're going to have a similar stance here, but I'm going to fade Allen. I'm going to open up the quarterback pool a little bit in multi-entry formats. And I just think there's so many good options down here where you can stack up these quarterbacks that are going to be single digit ownership, get nice correlation going. Aaron Rodgers right out of the gate against the Lions. I know Rodgers has looked terrible on the season, but man, the Lions, one thing they're good at is making opposing quarterbacks look good. So I'm willing to overlook how bad Rodgers has been. I'm willing to take the price discount there at 5,900. I mean, if this was the start of the season, like first game out of the gate and Rodgers was 5,900 against the Lions, I mean, he would be mega chalk. So, and then for me, it's just, man, like there's so many quarterbacks down here that I have interest in. Marcus Mariota. I'm JT. I'm interested in your guy. I like stacking them up with London, Pitts. It makes for a really nice stack.
Let's not go crazy. Let's not go crazy.
Let's not go crazy. All right. Well, I got a sprinkle. I'll say that. I got a little sprinkle.
I got a take. It's coming later. I got a take.
All right. Your take's going to be making fun of me playing the Falcon players. I know that. Justin Fields, I have interest in. Tua as well. Justin Herbert, another guy I like. And I mean, there's just, and then Trevor Lawrence, 5,200. You can pair him up with Christian Kirk. I'm going to try to cap it at about 6 quarterbacks, 6 or 7 max. And I've been running some builds. And I think at that number, I can still get easily overweight on a lot of these guys. If I get them right there, 15 to 20 to 25% range on a couple of them, and then, slightly overweight or maybe in line with the field on a couple.
Yeah, just real quick too, because we're going to talk about all this, but our guy Nades, who shipped with me on Thursday night in the showdown slate there for $61K, he's giving away another $150 ticket today. So let's get those likes up for this good mojo. JT Hayes will pick the winner later. I'm not sure what it will be based around, JT Hayes, but one thing that AP said there, and I kind of like it too, but every time I think about playing London and Pitts, I think about the childhood nursery rhyme, the London Bridge is falling down, London Pitts is falling down, your lineups are falling down. We want them to go up. So I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I do think it's at least a little bit interesting with me liking the Herbert side to like the opposite side. I'll talk more about a disgusting play on another opposite side in a moment, but JT Hayes, bring you in, man. And like I said, you can again pick the winner later. We are on our way, 6 minutes away from the fastest 400 likes ever on this show. Almost 800 watching out of the gate. That's amazing. JT Hayes, go ahead.
Yeah, London Pitts, they have been falling down. The prices, though, have been falling down as well. Good. So that makes it interesting. Couple of things. Nadesify is giving away a ticket, and here's what it's going to be based on, right? one of the RPS coordinators has been convicted of an obscure felony. What was it and who was it? Go ahead, put it in the chat. The best answer, wrong answers only, because we're not going to pick the right one, because we've got privacy laws and everything here in the US and Canada where Tambo is. So we're going to go ahead and do that. One of the RPS coordinators has been convicted of an obscure felony. Who is it and what was it? Nadesify, thank you very much. Gary is in the chat saying he doesn't get the Chargers love. Gary, we love you. Would you get the Chargers love if you knew that over the last 4 weeks, the Atlanta Falcons have been the worst defense in the NFL? I think this Chargers-Falcons game is going to be one of the games that could be the nuts. The other one is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Raiders, talking about the third and fourth worst defenses over the last 4 games. A lot of interest for me, as AP said, in these pay-down quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota, Cordero Patterson is back. I think that opens up a lot of things for this offense, including the running lanes for Mariota. Chargers, worst in the NFL against the rush. And I think you could see Mariota go for 100 yards today. I think you could see Cordero Patterson go for 100 yards today. So those plays are interesting to me. Trevor Lawrence, interesting. Nobody's talked about Justin Fields. I don't love this play just because that Miami frontline defense is so much stronger now with the trades they made. So for me, I think I'm going to stay in the 5K range at quarterback, working around Lawrence and Mariota primarily.
Yeah,
I mean, real quick,
yeah, hop in.
JT Hayes, Mangone being the first coordinator to get a mention had to be like minus 1,000, right? And he was.
Him and Holden had to be close.
Him and Holden, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's too good.
Public urination is not a felony. Splash, come on, man.
Holden exposing himself in public. Like
That's not an obscure felony. That's a popular felony.
yeah, that's true. 400 likes, done. We hit it. We got 900 watching, 400 likes. Now we go for 500. So that's definitely the fastest. I mean, I don't even know the fastest 500. I feel like we're 20 minutes ahead of it. So if you guys can continue to do that for us, we would appreciate it. I will say this was not a dream that I had, but it was just a thought. Like going back, everything I was thinking about yesterday and then working into this morning on some stuff before we hopped on was the opposite spots. Like it's Herbert, but then when you play Herbert, when you play Josh Allen, when you play Kyler Murray, these 3 expensive quarterbacks that people are playing, it puts like at least a punt or 2 into your lineups that you have to play. And I talked about this with our guy Simon, the producer, last Thursday before shipping on that slate with Goddard and the captain. Didn't need any cheapies. This is not a showdown slate, but the thought process is that if you go to the opposite sides, so instead of Herbert, you play Mariota. Very stackable. We just joked about it, but you've got London, you've got Pitts. You want to play CPAT, or if you want to try out a guy like Damiere Byrd or something, Olamide, I don't hate it. I'm just saying you're not going to get too crazy with it, but if you go to that opposite side, everything becomes cheaper. You're fitting less punts into the lineup. If you go to the opposite side of Kyler, it's very easy. You get Geno in the same spot, the game that failed everybody a few weeks back, where you've got Lockett, Metcalf, pick your guy, Fant or Disley, and if you want to use Walker, very condensed. And then lastly, the disgusting one that I said I would bring up earlier, man, but wait and see what it does for your lineups. And this is crazy to me. Opposite side of Josh Allen, Zach Wilson is $5,100. You got the same guys that just went off last week. Garrett Wilson, they still have the injuries there. Tyler Conklin doesn't need to put up a 24 piece for you, by the way, but he also happens to be a pivot right there when you've got Evan Ingram and Foster Moreau with Waller unlikely to play. So all I'm saying is if you wanted to get a piece of that game, they played the Pats D last week, which can be stout in its own right, and they put up 21, 20, and 25. For those prices, their prices did not change. If you still wanted to get Diggs and then have different guys in there versus your Allen builds would not have that. I'm just saying. So AP, I'll click it back to you.
Jets are going to win that game too, Tambo. I'm going to throw that out there right now.
They could win that game. And I know you and I are going to be aligned when we get to defense later on, that it makes also no sense to me. I'll bring it up now. 4,300 for the Bills, 2,000 for the Jets. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter to me. If you're not playing Allen, why would you not play some Jets? It just doesn't matter. Like he can definitely throw a pick. They haven't had less than 7 DraftKings points in their last 4 games. If they get you 7 or 8, it's what it allows you to fit in your lineup. Not to mention, they actually, in my opinion, are good enough to get you that 12, 15 or something good for that $2,000. So I don't hate that. Any other thoughts, AP, here? Like we can talk more about it, but I think there's other guys to bring up. I know we'd said we'd spend more time at quarterback. What other thoughts do you have at quarterback? I just like some of these opposite sides.
The thing that's interesting about Fields, I mean, the price, his rushing upside, and the connection that is getting reestablished with Darnell Mooney, and then it's just such a natural correlation because I love the other side of the game. Like you could even run like, a Tyreek Hill Waddle stack with Justin Fields and Mooney. Like that's, Millie Maker type of build right there. But if Fields rushes for a touchdown, if he's running all over the field, maybe throws for one, plus the savings there, that's just a route that I could see working. Zach Wilson, I mean, interesting. I like Garrett Wilson. You got the Wilson to Wilson stack there too. If you want to go that route. But I mean, look, like I think the Bills secondary too is going to be without. I think Poyer's out. I think who's their other stud that's still. I think he's still an IR, right?
Yeah, I forget the name too. It just came out this morning though with the Poyer news. I forget that. That's my point. Yeah. Another guy in their defense that's out, and it's not like the Pats are a horrible defense. People are going to like them this week for 4,100. They just put up like 65 DraftKings points, and their prices didn't change on that Jets side.
I just think that game plays ugly. I think the Jets are going to be real pumped up for that game. The defense looks good too. I'm going to be in the Discord posting that video from 5 years ago where the Jets defense is, dancing all over the field on the Bills. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go throw a money line bet down on the Jets today just to.
I don't hate it. But before I go back to you, JT Hayes, one other thing that got brought up, and then we could talk about this other game. I want to talk about Minnesota, Washington. I want to talk about Burrow. We'll bring those two up for a quick second. But just back to the Chicago-Miami game, this is the one I don't understand. And I get it, like Fields and Cash, and I can play like a Fields lineup like last week where you just stack everything in with it because he does run a bunch. He's been playing great football, all those factors. But if there's a game that plays ugly in my mind, it's that one. And I'll tell you why. The conversation keeps going back and forth about how good Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, the receiving, all this stuff. Man, why would these teams not just run the ball? If you're Chicago, and you can run a little bit on Miami, not as much as what you may think, but I'm just saying at least you could try. They have Herbert and Montgomery there that both can switch it out. They should be able to run a bunch. Why would you not try and keep Tua, Tyreek, Waddle with that attack off the field? And then I don't understand if you're Miami, why, in Chicago, in this weather, all this stuff, it's not like the craziest weather, but why would you not run it? You just saw what Pollard did to them. You brought in Jeff Wilson behind Mostert. You have two guys that can just run the ball downhill all day long and probably pick up yardage and be able to do what they need to do. I'm not advocating that you need to go there, but I'm saying why would they not be interested in that? So for me to see this game sealing out, I don't see it personally. So not going to be as heavy there. No Tua for me. I liked Fields at the start of the week. So full disclosure, I got some Fields to Mooney, run it back with Hill, but I'm not liking it as much. And I took him out of my MME to round out the week. So it's not, I'm going to be way underweight to what the field is and not very much with those builds. But JT Hayes, I want to talk a little, and I'm sure the chat does as well. Kirk Cousins, you like that revenge game that we got, if you want to call it that? Jefferson, I mean, the guy knows he's due for touchdowns. He's been incredible. That was another thing too, by the way, back to the Tua thing right quick with Tyreek. The one good game, everyone keeps saying Jefferson put it on Chicago, so Tyreek's going to. That was in Minnesota in a dome, not outside in Chicago, so I don't care about that either. But go ahead, JT Hayes, talk to me about this Minnesota-Washington and then anybody else you want to talk about as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that Chicago-Miami game. Both of those teams bottom 5 against the rush over their last 4 games. So the rushing game, interesting, a little bit more interesting, I guess, on the Mostert side than on the Chicago side, where you got a pretty heavy split. No to Kirk Cousins, just because I think there's rushing upside with some of these other quarterbacks that are cheaper. But yes to Justin Jefferson on a bounce back here. Ron Rivera's a donkey. He's not going to bracket him like the other good NFL coaches have been doing. So I think Jefferson can get loose here. I like McLaurin on the other side. And then someone's asking in chat for some ungodly reason about Taylor Heineke. There are 30 other quarterbacks I would prefer to play on this slate, and it's only a 10-game slate. So no for me on Taylor Heineke. Joe Burrow, the Carolina Panthers just gave up 37 points to Marcus Mariota and the Falcons. So this is the Panthers' second game on the road here. I do like a bounce back here for Burrow. Again, not the same rushing upside as some of these lower priced guys, so I'm going to have less of him, but I am at least going to have a couple of Burrow stacks here because I think that is a lower owned spot here on this slate.
Yeah, my guy Splosh in the chat. That's not a crime, bud. He says, Tambo, for assaulting members, I'm assuming verbally, he means for Thursday morning tilt on golf weeks. Literally zero reason to look at your lineup on Thursday morning ever in golf. I'll tell you that much. But that's for a topic for another day. AP, the chat said we didn't talk enough about Herbert, but I don't know. We can go to running back. Is there anything else you want to talk about at quarterback, though? I think we talked about Herbert. JT Hayes mentioned we talked about the opposite side in Mariota. Like, I don't see much else here that I want to talk about. Anything else you want to add before we go to running back?
My one thought on Herbert, am I fading him? No, I think he's a great person to get exposure to in tournaments. It's just, man, Austin Eckler feels like such a smash play. I don't see him, like Herbert could get vultured if you get the 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns. I don't know. They try to mimic the Chiefs a little bit too with some gimmick plays around the red zone. And so you could see some weird stuff there. I just, man, like the Chargers defense has been really bad. And I think Mariota, he threw almost 30 times last week. JT Hayes, I like what I saw. If we can get 30 throws out of Mariota plus his rushing upside, I like that side of the stack because I'm with you guys. We're not to receiver yet, but Justin Jefferson, they're so I think he's underpriced at 8,900, whatever his price is. And I want exposure to those high upside guys. So that's what's pushing me to go value at quarterback.
Yeah,
are we on the running back?
Well, we'll go to it in
too
a second.
busy reading
I was just going to add one more quick.
Responses are good.
I was just going to add one more quick thing, and that's the thing today about JT Hayes started a maniac mess here. But like I always say, if you can type, you can hit the like. So if you're in there typing in something, trying to win a ticket, hopefully you already hit that like button for us. We're about to hit 500. Last thing on the value stuff, that's what I was saying, AP. Like if you have Josh Allen, Herbert, Kyler, it's not that I'm against them. I'm playing them. I'm just saying I'm underweight based on that, playing more quarterbacks because the value guys allow so you don't need a Terrace Marshall, a Khalif Raymond, something like that where, yeah, I like those guys and they can get there and they'll be in certain builds to make those high-priced quarterbacks work. We'll get to the value guys we like at wide receiver later to say I like that. But when we're all in the same running backs, one way to differentiate is to get off that build at wide receiver and still stay correlated is through these opposite quarterbacks and stacks the other side while still picking up the expensive piece. And I think that's why our guy Gary and some of the others in the chat, like Heineke, I get it, and I'm what JT Hayes said, but if you go Heineke, McLaurin, they've been crushing. That's how you get Justin Jefferson and still have the money to spend in these other spots. So something like a Millie Maker, something like that. I don't hate it completely, but like JT Hayes said, there is a lot of other guys. Let's go, AP. Let's talk about
that. Just one thought. You could do that without Heineke. You could do a mini stack of that game in Jefferson McLaurin, which I like, without limiting yourself with a guy who I just think there are so many better plays given both the talent of the player and the defense that they're facing. That's the only point on Heineke is I think you're limiting yourself by saying, oh, because I'm going to play McLaurin, I'm going to play. You don't have to.
It's true. The argument would be, JT Hayes, and I'm not against you here. I'm just saying I agree with what you're saying, but the argument is being made that if McLaurin hits 25, how did he not get there via Heineke? Now, I don't fully believe that with him because he can be a PPR guy. He can get you 10 catches for 130, crushes $5,900 price tag, no touchdown. Heineke rushes for 20 on the ground, throws it around a bit more, has 220 yards, and does nothing. Has a touchdown to someone random. It's useless to you. So you can definitely do it in different ways, but that's still my point. I like what you said. Don't be afraid of the secondary stack of Jefferson McLaurin or Jefferson Samuel, where they're both PPR heavy guys. And then if even Justin Jefferson, how many times have we seen, who says he's getting into the box today? How many times have we seen 10 for 160, 0 touchdowns? That means there's no Kirk Cousins either, but you could still have a Lawrence, Kirk, Ingram, run it back with Devontae Adams and still fit those running backs that we're about to talk about in there. So without further ado, AP, I'll go to you. We're now crossing close to 550. We got 1250 watching. Truly appreciate all you guys waking up early with us on this Sunday morning, trying to bring you the best goods that we can, the best game theory. Put your questions in. We definitely interact with the chat to try and keep you guys involved. AP, running back looks straightforward for the ownership side of things, but we'll talk about it. Ramondre with Damian Harris now unlikely. He was already projecting well. That's Ramondre Stevenson I'm talking about. Now with Damian Harris unlikely, even more so. Travis Etienne Jr., Austin Eckler for the pay up, and then it's a mix of Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, those guys. And then there's some contrarian options that we can talk about as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, running back has been the position where it's just like, don't overthink it. Play these guys that are in, where they're highly owned. The projections are through the roof, which is the case for Ramondre, Etienne, even Joe Mixon, 6,500. These guys that are specifically in the 6K range. So I think Kenneth Walker would be the other one. And then you could throw like Deion Jackson in there too, 5,200. Man, I mean, on paper, they're such good plays. Like, they're fantastic plays. You should have them in your player pool. However, looking at Aaron Jones, like, if you just think about what the Packers, like, what it looks like they're starting to do is, like, you got to feed the guys that can get it done. And Aaron Jones, that's one of Rodgers' guys. We've seen the workload over the last 2 weeks be concentrated on him. I think at 7,400 in this spot against the Lions, very, very attractive play. The other one is Austin Eckler, who's 8,800. I think that price tag gives his ownership some sort of a cap on the high end side due to that price tag, because now you're deciding between Austin Eckler or guys like Justin Jefferson, who's 8,600, or Cooper Kupp, who's 8,900. But just thinking, like, man, the path for victory here for the Chargers, it's just, I mean, Austin Eckler has 3 touchdown upside in this matchup. I mean, he could absolutely break the slate. So what I'm saying is there's so many good running back plays. I want to find ways to get overweight on the two that I see maybe being a little bit under-owned relative to the field due to their price tags, and that's Austin Eckler and who's 8,800, and then Aaron Jones. The other guy too is Josh Jacobs. This game, I like Trevor Lawrence, and it's like, Josh Jacobs was massive shock last week. Now I think he's going to be half, maybe a third of what he was last week. I don't have that good of a read on ownership. I'm looking at ownership projections on him right now. I think those look too high, because I think we live in a recency bias world. What did you do for me last week? Josh Jacobs did absolutely shit last week, and people are going to be butthurt by that, and it's going to lead to no one playing him. So I think he's going to fall way under what the ownership projections are showing on him, and I like him this week. I like him in my Trevor Lawrence stacks because, like, the Raiders, if they bounce back, it has to be with the running game, and then you can run it back with Trevor Lawrence, Kirk, Marvin Jones, whoever on the other side. So, man, so many good running plays. I'm anyone that's like not in that list that I just mentioned, or anyone that you guys talk me into. I'm just Xing out of my pool. I don't want any exposure to them. I'm fine eating chalk here. I want to focus, though, on trying to get overweight on these guys that I think are going to be a little bit under-owned.
Yeah, JT Hayes, I'm going to come to you in 1 second. Before I do, 555. We just hit 555 likes. Another piece of news, Austin, our guy, Nades, he said he's going to give away another $150 ticket if we hit the 800 likes today. So let's keep those likes rolling as we go throughout. JT Hayes, I said this on the review show this week with myself, JSU, and Phallic that we do here on this channel. Again, if you haven't yet subscribed, now's the time to do so. Big red button, bottom right corner. But last week, like, everyone complains over and over again about the chalk hitting. Like, it was literally the best 3 spots on the board. Kamara had a spot with Landry and Thomas out. He was $7,100. He hadn't scored touchdowns yet. It made sense. We liked Henry. We liked McCaffrey. They came through, but weren't necessarily needed based on these other 3. Pollard, no Zeke, best matchup on the board against Chicago, at home, 10-point favorite. And then Foreman, you needed a little bit of value last week. He was 5,300, no Chuba Hubbard, great spot, good matchup, etc. Stop worrying about that at running back and start worrying about your stacks and game theory and other spots that you can get different. To me, again, like, why play a huge running back pool here when you've got these guys that we're talking about that are in these great spots? So I'm not going to go way off the chalk. I'll talk about some guys here in a minute, but I'll let you go ahead first, JT Hayes. Ramondre, Etienne Jr., Eckler, Mixon, Aaron Jones, all those guys. What are your thoughts here at the running back position?
Yeah, I like the talk about Jacobs here. I think people are going to forget that he's been the engine that this offense has run through when they've been playing decently. they got to forget about last week's game. I know it's the second game on the road. And one of my main lineups is just going to be a full-on game stack of that game, of that Jacksonville-Vegas game, just because I think it's got a real chance to shoot out and be very low owned. Can't argue. I mean, if you want to play a lineup with Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, and Justin Jefferson, you're going to have to punt at wide receiver, one spot at least. And I have the guy. We're going to mention him here when we get to wide receiver. I have a guy that I'm going to put in a couple of lineups as a pure punt. Tambo, you talk about disgusting plays. This one's up there. This one's a double flush play. But we'll get to him. Yeah. But Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is in a good spot. You mentioned the spot that Tony Pollard was in last week against the Bears. Now you get a spot where Miami's going to be outside. Raheem Mostert. Everyone wanted to play this guy 3 weeks ago. Nobody's going to play him today. And I think he's in a fantastic spot. So I do think there's ways to get off. But, man, that Austin Eckler spot to me looks like the best spot of the day. I'm probably just going to come real close to locking that, really overweight on Aaron Jones, and then see where I go. I do think I'm going to be 3 running backs today on most of my lineups.
Yeah, it definitely looks good for that. And AB, before I come back, just a couple quick notes, because the big conversation around Aaron Jones already, the Twitter sphere is talking about this mouth, all the mouth breathers are going to play Aaron Jones at high ownership, and how's he going to get there this week, et cetera, et cetera. He's out touching Jones 41-14 in the last 2 weeks. He hasn't even had good games, and to me, he is like Kamara and Henry of last week mixed into this week. And let me explain why. One, he's 7,400, very close to that 7,100 of last week. His good games have scored well. He hasn't really had a great game. So there's the spot for that. The reason that's like the Kamara side. The reason I think he's like the Henry side, Henry just beats up on Houston. 2 of Jones's highest scoring games ever, I should say, are against Detroit. So I'm not sure why they wouldn't put him back in here and keep it rolling. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. But I think a bad game for him is going to be like 15-17, and you can pick it up elsewhere. You don't have to go all in on this guy. There is the guys we talked about, Ramondre, Etienne, Eckler, all of those guys. Going down the board, the other side of it is, there is some interesting notes. We don't talk a lot about FanDuel on here, but if you wanted to go on FanDuel, Aaron Jones is even more popular. So if you take Aaron Jones down to Dylan over there and you hope to get those touchdowns, I wouldn't have a problem with that over there. What keeps being brought up, though, AP, and I'll bring it back to you with this, is this guy, Jamal Williams. It's a revenge game. Get on him here, like Swift limited touches. All he does is score touchdowns. It's true. But I'll tell you what, he might get 3 goal line touchdowns today. And while that will be very valuable on FanDuel, where I would have no problem going to it, I honestly don't see it in the optimal lineup on DraftKings. 18 points, 19 points, whatever it works out to with that. If that's the case, you could say you'd take it. But I'll tell you what, with the guys that we've got up top and some of these other spots, man, and that's if the guy gets 3 touchdowns, I'm saying. So I don't know. Your thoughts on Jamal Williams? I just don't feel as good about it. I think I'm going to not overthink it. I'm going to play guys in other spots. What are your thoughts on him? And then anybody else you want to talk about at this running back position?
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams, Millie Maker format, play only in like a full stack, like a full, and we've seen, I mean, our guy Hoopster shipped a Lions slot. I think these full stacks in Lions games are viable. But it's if you're multi-entering, it's just, it all comes down to, if you get a back and forth scoring script, like you're going to want Rodgers on that one side, and maybe he does, establish a good connection with the receivers there. You run it back with Jamal. I just wouldn't, like, I'm not saying I'm going to be on that. I wouldn't exclude it though. Like if if you're running 150, if one of those popped in there, I would let it be. But when it comes to ownership, I see these 6K guys getting, very, very highly owned, because that's just what's been crushing. And all of these guys can't be chalk. That means, like, if Aaron Jones is chalk, that means Eckler's going to be not going to be chalk. That means who is the other guy? Josh Jacobs is not going to be chalk. So, like, I just think it's almost going to be like a quarterback type situation where ownership spreads out outside of the 6K guys. Etienne, Ramondre, I think are going to be way, 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 way up there. And then it's going to be all these other guys mixed in. So, like, I would, so like what I already did, I got most of my stuff set up. In the flex, the only thing I excluded was tight ends. No tight end, double tight end builds for me. And I have a good mix of 3 running back and 4 wide receiver builds. And all of them, I've looked through most of them, and they look good, like going either route. So I'm going to have a nice balance between the two, even though I do like that 3 running back build. I just think with how good running back is, the more contrarian side of it's going to be 4 wide receivers. And it's a good 4 wide receiver slate. There are a lot of good plays out there.
Definitely can do that too. And I like your point that you made there, though. Even with people going a lot of 3, I should say with people going a lot of 3 running back, it's good to go the other way. But it also means, like you said, AP, they can't all be chalk. We know Ramondre is going to be up there. We know Eckler is going to be up there. Jones, ETN, I get it. But then what about Kenneth Walker? What about Josh Jacobs? What about Deontay Foreman? What about Mixon? Like, they literally can't all be owned. So I got no problem mixing and matching there, but sticking to the tighter pool, where if I think back to last week, like we said, Ramondre with no Harris, good, seems good. Aaron Jones, 41-14 out touching him up against Detroit again, a team he's crushed multiple times. I'm good. Eckler in the spot he's in with no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen, no Parham. Like, they have nobody there. Carter was sick and is playing, so he's fine, but I'm just saying we'll go there in a second. And then you've got Foreman with no Hubbard. You've got Deon Jackson with no JT. I don't love that one as much, but the point just being, there's a lot of other guys that you can go to here that you don't have to go way off the board just to do it. I want to do that at wide receiver. I think our guy JT Hayes also wants to do that at wide receiver. So I'll move it over to you, JT Hayes. You said you had something special there. You can bring that take later. Anything else on running back from you? If not, let's talk about these wide receivers. We've got Palmer, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, your boy. Hopkins is getting some love this week. DJ Moore getting all that target share. What are you doing here at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I like Amon-Ra. I like Amon-Ra quite a bit. 6,600, beautiful price there in this matchup. Lazard is still questionable, I believe, as of this morning, but expected to play, something like that. So Lazard here is in a great spot against this Detroit defense. We talked about Terry McLaurin, who I like a lot at that price point. Justin Jefferson as a spend up. Nobody's talking about Christian Kirk. His price is all the way down to 5,500 now in a fantastic matchup. I like him quite a bit here. And then the one guy who opens up a lot, if you want to go, even if you're paying down at quarterback, but you want to spend up at these other positions, get a couple of these higher priced, 1 receiver, 2 running backs. Marquise Goodwin is out for the Seahawks. Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are going to eat up a lot of the coverage from the Cardinals' defensive backfield. Dwayne D. Eskridge is 3,100. Pete Carroll has said he's going to be a lot more involved in the passing game this week. At 3,100, he gets you 3 catches and 50 yards. You're very, very happy. He does any more than that, and you could be on your way to first place.
I know that, by the way, we didn't talk about this off the top of the show, AP. I'll come to you in a second, but you were on your way to first place last week almost, JT Hayes. You know, it didn't get talked about enough. So for those watching this, JT Hayes had some really good takes last week. He finished, I believe, 24th in the main $20 Millie Maker. Sorry if I'm wrong with the number, JT Hayes, but it was up there. And he had DJ Moore, Foreman, and Kyle Pitts all in OT. Got that game to go to OT, and they did nothing for you. I felt bad, man. Like, damn, right there in the mix. It was such a good lineup. So, again, guys, keep these takes in mind when you're going throughout. Hit that like button for the love. JT Hayes is a crusher in his own right, and no one wanted to give you the credit for that. I know it's not a shipper, but it's hard to get up there and have that much of a close shot at getting to the top because you had a lot more player minutes remaining than the others around you in that spot. So good job again, man. I'm sure a big one's coming.
It's sometimes to get up that far, it's a little tilting when it doesn't happen because you're right there and you know you only needed like, I think it was 6 points from like 30,000 and then like 8 points from the whole thing. But you know, you mentioned it. And so here's the other thing, right? I'm looking at my lineups. You guys know my stance on Kyle Pitts. And we brought him up. We joke about him every week now at this point. But when we talked about him on that show last week, I said, but he's now at that price where you can play him more comfortably because he's not 6K. He's not getting the targets for a 6K guy. So I run my numbers, run my lineups in the optimizer, and it's giving me like 90% Kyle Pitts. And I'm like, I can't do it. So I back Kyle Pitts all the way down, and he ends up in my best lineups anyway.
Yeah, it still, like I said, it worked, and he was definitely priced enough where you could get to him. So we'll talk about him when we get there at tight end. AP, I'll come over to you. Some of your first thoughts here at the wide receiver position. We talked about the guys that are going to be popular, some for good reason, but typically, and what we've always seen last few years at least, is this is where the spots you want to get different are at the wide receiver position. The highest variance, the most random things happen. You saw DJ Moore last week. He was getting beat by Terrace Marshall Jr. until the 17-point play at the end of the game. So it's just crazy the way it works, but give us some of your wide receiver takes here, AP.
Yeah, so the thing that's interesting about, like, I think roster construction and just overall strategy in tournaments this week is like looking at how elite the running back spot is. Obviously, we spent a lot of time on it. I think it's going to kind of mask how good receivers this week. Like, when's the last time we had Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, all at playable price points, all under 9K. Like Cooper Kupp, he quietly, is 1,000 cheaper than what he has been, and he's been crushing too. And I show him coming in at 8 to 10% ownership. Justin Jefferson, I show him single digit ownership. Tyreek Hill, the one guy in this range that does appear to be getting some ownership. Stephon Diggs, well, I'm not high on him. Still a guy that can break a slate. I'm showing low ownership. Devontae Adams, coming off that terrible performance, like no one's going to play him. 8,100. DeAndre Hopkins, absolute target monster, and is like first 2 games back looks better than ever. He's 7,900. I do see him getting a little ownership. My point is T. Higgins also single digit ownership, another guy that can break the slate. My thing is man, if you can find a way to get a cheap quarterback that can get you there, which I think like a Marcus Mariota, one of these running quarterbacks, Justin Fields, I think that's the ticket. Load up on these high upside receivers, I think is a really, really interesting way to get different on this slate without sacrificing too much floor, to ceiling combination. And it's going to come down to what you do at the running back spot too. So I love these high price guys at the receiver position this week. Like I do like, the Amon-Ra going to get, a ton of ownership. I just like on a guy like him, I do see myself maybe being more in line with the field or under, which I think is a fine strategy at his price point, more focused on, he's my main run back I like in my Packers stack. So I just, obviously the game environment. But my main point here is you got Amon-Ra, Josh Palmer, like soaking up so much ownership. Chris Godwin, I'm not playing him at all. Sign me up for all of these high price receivers that are going very, I think, just overlooked. Justin Jefferson being one of my favorite. But man, Cooper Kupp is slowly becoming a quick second favorite just because, like, when's the last time we were able to pay 8.9K for him? And the target share has been there. It wouldn't surprise me to see him, like, you got everything set. You're going into the afternoon part of the slate. Only 2 games, mind you. And your last guy's Cooper Kupp, and you got flames by everyone else. I mean, that would be a really good feeling to have.
Yeah, definitely don't hate that. Like you said, it comes down to, again, the same situation as always. We do have, this is the one spot on the slate. We have all the dudes up top, right? We've got what you talked about there with Kupp. We've got Jefferson, Tyreek, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. If you're playing those Lawrence stacks, that's kind of my point. Like you nailed it again, but that's what I kept saying about it. What you're really doing, we're all playing the same running backs, some semblance of that pool where we're mixing it around, and that's fine because we believe in them. We just talked about that. We didn't spend a lot of time off the chalk at running back because we like those spots. But what we were saying is there's still value pieces underneath, or there's still valuable pieces underneath that aren't able to all be chalk at running back. But if you play Herbert, Allen, Kyler, it's fine. But remember, this is where you're going to be going down quite a bit, and you're going to run into some landmines very likely, at least in some spots, versus if you can play the cheaper quarterback and it works out even point per dollar, you can now jam more of these guys in without having to look for that punt down there. So JT Hayes, who are some of the other guys you want to go to here off the chalk at the wide receiver position? And then I'll round us out for my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other guys that I think you can go to. I'm curious as to why AP doesn't like Chris Godwin. I mean, I think one of either him or Evans is likely to have a big game here against a secondary that's really yielded a lot of points. Evans is going to come in a lot less owned, so maybe it's an ownership thing there. I think AP talked about Darnell Mooney, or you talked about Darnell Mooney earlier. I think he's interesting for cheap. These Patriots guys, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers popping here, and they're both very, very cheap. If you wanted to take a shot on them, Drake London's price has come down. He's down at 4,900. And then T. Higgins going to be very popular, but I think Tyler Boyd is in just as good a spot as he was in a couple of weeks ago, where all of the attention is going to be focused on T. Higgins from that secondary. I think Boyd here, and when we get to side end, even Hurst could be interesting plays.
Yeah, the Cincy guys I think are okay. Real quick before I give my thoughts, guys, 681 likes. We're going to get to 800, 1,600 watching. 800 is the unlock of the next ticket our guy Nades is going to give away. He just said it in the chat. So just under 120 shy as we speak. I like a lot of the takes.
Hey Tambo, real quick.
Ahead.
I should probably, so it looks like, I'm just reading this on the fly, but it looks like our site, we're having server issues. Now I'm not like a tech person at all, but what our guy's telling us is, I think all the wind has been crazy. I know that's been knocking out servers and stuff. So we're working on it. Absolute worst case, make sure you're in the Discord. We have a content backup part in Discord, a channel where no one else can talk. Worst case, we're going to put all the content in there, but we'll work. We'll get the site back up as soon as possible. Different issue than the issue we have with NBA. This is more server related, kind of outside of our control right now.
And all part of the greater good. The fix is coming. Like, we're putting a lot of money into getting the site to where it needs to be 100%.
Tuesday, yeah. A huge update is coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and we appreciate everyone. Obviously, it means business is booming, and it should be picking winners, helping you guys out as much as possible. We appreciate every single one of you, always looking to put money back in to get it better for you guys. So that's going to be happening, like AP said. Real quick, just my thoughts at wide receiver. I love the Christian Kirk call. I've been on it all week. I think that's the slot matchup that we could see where we get him there. Even going back to the well, DJ Moore, I know it seems gross. I like Terrace Marshall too, but both those guys in that spot. I'm not on PJ Walker. A guy, Big T, just nailed it with him last week. It just sucked that it was a slate where you didn't need it, but he still crushed it there. But I don't mind going back to that. It just seems, again, the target share is there. The price is still pretty cheap. You can use them in a secondary stack with Higgins or with Mixon if you want to get a little different at the running back position. So I don't hate that. Some of the cheaper guys, like you mentioned him, JT Hayes, Drake London, 4,900 for a wide receiver one. Jacoby Myers, still no Devontae Parker in that spot. DeAndre Carter, $4,300 as a pivot off of Palmer, or use them with Palmer in some of those Herbert lineups or as a run back in your Mariota lineups. I like that. The Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses, baby. You got Zay Jones and or Marvin Jones. Both those guys are basically the same dude. For some reason, Zay Jones always gets more ownership, so I got no problem going to Marv, Curtis Samuel, and Terry McLaurin. We talked about those guys. And then I guess lastly, the main ones for me would be the Arizona guys. Hopkins, way up the board for me. Justin Jefferson for the two studs. But the other Arizona guys, Robbie Anderson, Robbie, our boy Hoop, the next show. They're gonna talk about him, I'm sure, but the coach speak is they want to get him a little more involved. He knows the offense a little better now. He's going to be a little bit more integrated there. If it goes back and forth in that game like it could, I definitely like the thought of going to him. Rondale Moore has been good in the slot, probably picking one of those guys at most, but just saying that's a few more guys that you can go to, trying to give away as much as possible. AP, anything else at wide receiver as we hit just under 750 likes, or can we go to tight end?
Yeah, no, my last comment is just Mooney. Yeah, Mooney in run backs there. I definitely 4,700 just like, the more I think about it, like, yeah, Josh Palmer, fantastic play, but man, he's going to be so popular, and there's just so many different ways to get different. So not like it. And the great thing about like multi-entry, like, playing the Millie, I think it's fine to be in line with the field on a play like that. There's just so many different ways to get different. I think in the past, like a mistake I would make is just auto fading chalk like that. You don't need to do that. You can just get in line, maybe slightly under, and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, get him in your game stacks, whatever. JT, did you give your disgusting play and I missed it?
Yes. Yes.
Which one was it of all the guys that you said? This chat threw me off a little bit today because all the felonies and whatnot. But who was it again? Because I have one more, but
the chat was owning me for the win comment. Well,
who
our servers are on a roof.
Oh my God.
I forget some dude in chat.
I
don't know that shit.
Who was your pick, JT Hayes?
So Dwayne Eskridge.
Okay, yeah, it's the same one as me. I thought I heard him because I was gonna say that's the same one.
You're on him too. Up. I like it even more now.
Well, yeah, he was the one that as I was scrolling down my list, and I was like, I think that's who JT Hayes said, but I'm not 100% sure. But he is a guy. I actually tried playing him some last week. It did not work out, but here's the better spot. I think I like it quite a bit for MME. And then the other one guy I was going to say was Khalif Raymond. Another guy for, I think JSU said this on one of the shows this week, Print Factory, I believe, one of our premium shows that was free this week, about how Carolina just keeps trying to get Terrace Marshall into the box for whatever reason. Detroit seemingly trying to get Raymond into the box. He just missed last week again, fell down on the 5. I think he looks pretty good. And if you wanted a secondary stack of Aaron Jones and Raymond, I would have no problem with that. And like someone said, what if Green Bay tries to lock up Amon-Ra, the great Amon-Ra St. Brown? Who knows? Go ahead, JT Hayes.
Yeah, no, I mean, RPS wants Terrace Marshall in the box badly too. I think we've been playing him for like a month straight. So hopefully today is the day.
All right, let's stay with you. Let's talk some tight end. We talked a little bit about these Chargers wide receivers. Gerald Everett looks pretty good at tight end. He's priced up a little bit this week. We've got some injury stuff that's building guys up the board a little bit. Moreau's going to get more popular now that Waller is unlikely. Evan Ingram, 4 straight solid games at the tight end position there. And then Robert Tonyan getting some love, Hurst getting some love, Knox not getting a huge amount, but the fact that he's attached to Josh Allen and can score. What are your thoughts, JT Hayes, at the tight end position?
Tanyan's probably my favorite guy if I can get to him. And of course, if I play Eskridge, I can absolutely get to him and some other guys. So I like that a bit. I like these guys. Ingram in particular has been getting the targets in that game that I like in my main and a couple of other lineups there for that. I think Higbee's finally priced low enough, and these other receivers for the Rams are just not doing anything. I mean, they're not doing anything. They can't catch the ball, it doesn't seem. So I think you're going to see him get a few more targets this week. And then on the other side of him, the role that Cade Otton has that tight ends always have with Tom Brady, 3,100, 5 targets each of the last 2 weeks. So I don't think that's a terrible play, but if I can get up to Bobby Tonyan, I'm going to play him.
Yeah, that seems like a spot I think a lot of people are getting to because it's just cheap. It's $3,800. The love is there. I wonder though, again, it could call it, you can't, to me, I can't really call it leverage though, because it's like the same ownership as Aaron Jones. Like, it is a way to get different than the Aaron Jones lineups, but to me, it's like if Lazard is back, it sounds like Watson will be out, Lazard will be in. Again, we'll wait and see, but in that spot, it just, again, so many other guys there. So I don't know. That's probably the first disagreement I'll have with you. I think I like him the least. I would like him in some of those stacks, or like AP's talked about on the show, if you're game stacking, by all means, go ahead. But I think that's one where I could move off. AP, do you have other thoughts here at the tight end position? Who are some of the guys that you're thinking about?
Yeah, so I mean, I like Kyle Pitts here, 4.5K. I know he's going to be popular, but for me, I love playing tight ends against the Chargers. Just a team that typically yields a lot to the tight end position. Gerald Everett, I think it's fine. I actually like Trey McKitty too behind him. We know the Chargers like to use their tight ends. So if you need a flat 2.5K that's not Brock Wright, he could be a guy you could look at. Millie Maker type play only. Man, and then I know there's like plays that I'm definitely not playing, like Tyler Higbee as chalk. I just am not going to go there. I can't get to Cade Otton either, just because I just trusting Tom Brady and Matt Stafford is a very difficult thing to do right now. So I would rather fade those guys. Tyler Conklin's interesting. He's just been getting tons and tons of targets each and every week, 10 last week against the Patriots. I think he's a fine option as well, but I'm going to keep a fairly concentrated tight end pool. I'm getting a lot of Pitts, and I think I'm good with it.
Yeah, you can look at your guy McKitty, because you like Parham to start the week, and then he got ruled out. The only reason I say that is because at least there would be injury stuff to go with it. Like, people last week asked, how did people get to Tyler Conklin? Well, when you're missing Corey Davis and others, and you don't have a Breece Hall anymore, gone down to ACL injury and all of those factors, then why not go to someone like that as taking a risk. That I wouldn't think is as crazy for that reason. I don't love it, but I get why people could get there. What I'm saying though is too, like Tyler Conklin's price didn't change. I say this all the time in golf. I talk about it in football too. NBA, the night Paul George got like 80 or whatever. Oh, he's not going to do that the next night. No shit. He's not going to put up 8 stocks the next night and get you 80, but he's still priced for a guy that only needs 60. So what if he gets you 60 again? It's the same thing here. They didn't change the price on Conklin, or as I think it was Al Smizzle called him, Gronklin. If you get him in the mix again, I mean, I don't know. Like he doesn't need 24 again to get there. And if you're stacking that game up or you want to go there, I got no problem with it. He's the opposite side of Knox. I don't hate it. The other thing I'll say too, I'm not playing any Brock Wright. I'm playing James Mitchell. I don't care what Brock Wright has 7 catches in his whole college career, 6 in his NFL career. Like this guy is a blocker. I ain't playing him. You want to win the millie, you're not doing it with Brock Wright. I can tell you that right now. If you want to take a chance, play James Mitchell. They brought up Zylstra's brother. We don't even know. Like Brock Wright is technically still questionable. It was concussion protocol. I think he'll get out. But even if that's the case, I'm not going there just because he's $2,500. There's a lot of guys, Everett, Ingram, Pitts. You can pick one of the Seattle guys if you want to get within that game. Hayden Hurst, Foster Moreau, injury spot. Perfect way to go there. Conklin, already talked about him. Like, I don't know. For me, I don't need no Brock Wright. I know people are doing it, but I don't even think he catches balls. Like it's what the one game he had was 9.7, 4 targets, caught them all for 57. That would be good, but I think you're reaching a lot for that. So I'd rather take a shot. Even a touchdown pretty much matches that from the other guys. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's not against anybody, Mike P. I got Hoop Score right here. Everybody likes their guys. That's the best part of RPS. Hoop is my guy. He literally won the Millie Maker a few weeks back using guys on Detroit. I'm just saying I don't see it. And if you go look it up, we had the Quentin Tarantino's son the other night on the Thursday Night Football show. Same thing. You looked it up. The guy doesn't block for shit. He's going to get a chance to get in the box, and that's what happened. That's James Mitchell. Brock Wright is a certified blocker. I just don't think he's going to ship the large field tournament for you. So I get the price play. I'm just saying I'm taking all my Brock Wright. I changed the projection to James Mitchell, the same as Brock Wright. I X'd out Brock Wright, and now I'll get the same lineups as you with James Mitchell. And if he beats you, I beat you. That's all I care about in this spot. JT Hayes, other final thoughts there before we go to defense?
Yeah, you got to have thick skin here. I mean, I mentioned like 4 tight ends, and AP shits all over every one of them and says I'm playing Kyle Pitts. So you absolutely cannot have thin skin here.
Oh, it's too good.
Hayden Hurst is one.
My bad, JT.
No. Like I mean, that's the thing. Everyone feels a little differently. Hayden Hurst is one guy we didn't mention. Big obvious hole there without Jamar Chase. So like Hayden Hurst here a little bit as well.
Yeah, nobody ever mad, Mike. I ain't mad at all. No. Maybe I should play Brock Wright if I want to get like Hoop and get that nice mug with the Millie Maker win on it. I love Hoop. He's my boy. I'm just saying no one's mad. We don't care. We're making our takes. The Morning Wood is up next. It's free as well. So stick around, hit that like button. They're going to be asking for them anyway, but it's going to have Hoop, Big T, and Crain, 3 Millie Maker winners. So until I join them in that spot and get my green jacket, if you will, in a sort of a subjective type of form, until I get there, I'm just talking shit, but I'm not bad. I can promise you that. We all love each other. We're all just talking the plays that we like, trying to give you some thoughts that we have and our ideas. AP, anything else there? If not, man, let's go to defense. We at least got to spend a little time here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just had to pull my tight end pool. Kylan Granson, Sam Ellinger's boy from college. I had JTA's last. I had to throw one dusty dude in there.
Don't they have like 9 tight ends?
They
have
like
do.
9 tight ends. But the only one he
happen.
targeted was his boy from, what was Shower Narrative or something like that.
Something.
Yeah. High school, all the way back to high school. Yeah,
no catches narrative.
I think it was Lakeview High School because we looked it up last week for Granson and him. And again, it just reminds me of the running back position where this week there's like 8 tight ends that I'm very comfortable with that I don't think I need to go there. But hey, whatever you want to do, by all means. Let's talk some defense, AP. Let's move on. We got the Bucks at 3,000 against that O-line that the Stafford and Co. have there. So maybe that's the spot. You got the Panthers against Cincy with that new and improved O-line, which also should have air quotes around it, I believe, with the amount of sacks that they've been taking. And then after that, it sort of sprinkles out. But any thoughts from you here, AP? What do you got for defense?
Yeah, so defense, I mean, man, I'm going cheap this week. as we all know, I love the high price receivers, the high price running backs. So we're going to need savings. We're going to need, and I think we can get that at the quarterback position. I think we can get that at the tight end position and defense position. That's going to allow me to spend up everywhere. And I already posted the video in chat and Discord earlier this morning, the video from 5 years ago, the Jets players, dancing around the field with the sirens going on, absolutely disrespecting the Bills. I think we're going to see that again today. 2K, flat 2K, Jets defense going to be my highest owned defense on the slate.
Yeah, Westlake High School. That's what it is. Montreal got me. So Westlake High School, Granson. He does have the O in the last name. Can equate to a 0 on Twitter when people post about it, but no one's playing him anyway. So if you get him in your MME pool, I got no problem with it. JT Hayes, come to you on these defense guys. What do you got here, man? He talked Jets D. I like it for 2,000. I think it fits whatever you want in there. And again, their last 4 games, their worst is a 7. I know it's a different quarterback. People keep saying that. The only good quarterbacks they faced are Burrow and Lamar, and it didn't work out, but it doesn't matter. Again, it's also high leverage. If you're not going there already in your stack, why not try and get up to something else somewhere on the, on your team? So give me your thoughts on the Jets and then other guys you like at the defense position.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at the Jets until this morning, to be honest. But the more I've looked at that line just stares out to you as something that's wrong for a divisional game, no matter how good the Bills have been. The way these Jets have been playing hard. So, I mean, flat 2,000, yeah, you can do so much with that. The other one that I was interested in, other two, I would say I was interested in Tampa Bay at 3K. You mentioned it, Matthew Stafford going across the country. He has to play outdoors. I don't know what it is with these guys, but he's really good friends with Matt Ryan, and they just have trouble playing outdoors. They throw a lot of picks, a lot of pick sixes. So I could see Tampa Bay there. New England a little bit, and then Miami a little bit, just with their revamped defensive line. I think they could give the Bears offensive line some troubles. And then, guys, in chat, we're at 8:02, so we're going to pick a winner here.
Two winners.
Yeah, we're going to pick 2 winners here in just a couple of minutes. I really guess I should have given you the definition of obscure, because we got a lot of felonies that are quite common. And people asking about Cordell Patterson. He's back, 5,800 on DraftKings. Can you play him? Yes, you can play Cordell Patterson in this matchup. Ooh. I like it quite a bit.
I like him in the stacks, especially like in the game stack. Yep. I might set a rule just to play him only within that. Like he would move the pace and get it going and move it from there. And the chat, our guy Shawnee says, Josh Allen, it's Josh Allen. Yeah, he's the best. I mean it. I'm not being sarcastic. He's incredible. The Bills are incredible. I prefer to take my 4 or 5, if it even happens, with the Jets there, which is what I think would be like their worst case scenario, than somewhere else in the lineup where I can get a better ceiling floor. Like, I don't know if there's that many Ds today that are going to break it and go for 20, 25 where you need to have them. Happens, but who knows? So I'm going to mix it up. I'm not all in on the Jets D. My takes, I always have them, but I do like the Bucks. I'm not playing that 20%, but either way, it makes sense at 3,000. I'll have some of them. The offset ones that I like, the Dolphins, who JT Hayes mentioned, going up against Fields. I talked about that already, especially if you're playing Mostert, you can mix them together. I like the Vikings. I keep targeting Heineke. I don't know why others don't. The guy who throws picks. The guy makes mistakes. I'm definitely doing that again today. I like the Jets, who we talked about. The Seahawks up against Kyler, 2,500, yes. A little bit more than the Panthers. I think that works out well, and especially if you're playing Kenneth Walker, try and double down there where he gets the running game going. It keeps them ahead, and then they can start to pick off and get those sacks as well against Kyler. So don't hate that. And then the Patriots. $4,100. If I'm paying up, I'm going there. It's Sam Ehlinger. We already talked about this. It's Bill Belichick. What they can do, no Jonathan Taylor to worry about. I don't think it's going to be a problem. And especially if you've got now Ramondre, who has had good games correlated with the Patriots, that is going to completely offset almost, not all, I can't say almost all, it sounds bad to say it that way, but a lot of the Ramondre Stevenson lineups, who's going to be likely the most popular at running back, him or ETN, one of the two, probably him. Most of those will not have the Patriots D. It'll have one of these cheap defenses. If you want to offset your lineup, especially higher dollars, smaller field, find a way to get to the Patriots defense with him. Flip the script somewhere else. You'll have a different roster construction while not getting too cute. It actually looks like a smash spot. So I like that quite a bit. We got to pick some winners, though, not just our own plays of the day, but we got to pick those winners, JT Hayes. So we'll get to that. AP, final thoughts for you?
Yeah, no, this looks like a good slate. It's going to be a ton of fun. I mean, let's get to picking winners.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got the Morning Wood coming up next, so stick around for that. There's almost 2,000 watching today. Again, I can't say enough how much we appreciate you guys. We love doing this stuff for you. We love that you're having fun with us in the chat. JT Hayes, what was the most obscure you found for the first winner of the $150 ticket from our guy Nades?
Yeah, it's tough sledding through this. Two thoughts on defense just to close it out. Seattle, third best defense in the league over the last month. And we know that the narrative that I'm interested in is the one you mentioned, Tambo, what Bill Belichick does to opposing rookie quarterbacks. Interesting spot there for the Patriots. Listen, it wasn't obscure, but she put a couple of these in here, and she's always in the chat for our shows, listens to the Wishbone Pod every week, bringing the good mojo. It was a common battery felony, which you lose points for, but you get points for loyalty. Kim Gould, hit up Nadesify. You're going to get the first ticket. And then the second one, a little bit disgusting. This made me vomit a little bit, but Mike P, after the discussion with Tambo, said he was going to come find him and kiss him on the mouth. Don't do that. Take the ticket, play it, win some money, and then find someone else to do that with. All right? You freak.
That's amazing. Good for the winner. Shout out to Nades. He's a guy talking about bring good mojo. Yeah. Been with us for over a year on every show. He's now a coordinator. Finally had his big first hit the other night. He's had a lot of little grinding spots where 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, things like that. Hits 61K and then follows it up the next night with 3K and NBA as well. So love to see that. And it's Hoops Burner. I forgot about that. Mike P2222. So yeah, that's a good one there. JT Hayes, what a pick. AP, your play of the week. What do we got here, man?
Yeah, so it has to be a receiver, and it has to be a guy that's going to fall under the cracks. And I think it's just a price thing, with Josh Palmer at 5,100, with guys like DJ Moore at 5,800, even like Jacoby Myers is a guy that's getting talked up. I think this guy's going to fall under the radar, and I think he's going to absolutely smash. He's already smashed a couple times this season. I'm thinking a big game from Christian Kirk, 5,500. 100 yards and at least one touchdown.
I had two. You took one of them. So I'm going to go before JT Hayes, before the other one gets taken. But I thought you were even going there with your little intro piece, but it has to be a wide receiver, slipping between the cracks. He seems to always do so. I love him. I think Big T is going to love him coming up next, but Justin Jefferson, man, the guy has interviews this week talking about getting these touchdowns going. Again, like I said, if you want to put them Cousins, Jefferson, and run back, you can, but you don't need to. It's a great secondary stack where you can just go Jefferson with one of the Washington guys, either McLaurin or Samuel, pick it up that way. If he gets 10 for 170 and a touchdown, it doesn't guarantee that Cousins came along with them. And there's some really good stacks that we talked about off the top that you can still correlate within that same lineup, use the running backs that everyone else is using, and get unique that way. JT Hayes, I'll go to you, man. Final winner you're picking is your own, your best pick, your play of the week. What do you got, my man?
And what I love about this pick more than anything else is that you can play him with your two plays. And that's exactly what I'm going to do in a couple of lineups. And some weeks it's hard. It's hard to pick from all these plays. This week it seems so easy to me. The Chargers, the worst team in the NFL against the rush. And the Falcons, they deploy a bunch of running backs, but none better than my guy. He might win me $1 million today. None other than Hawaiian Thunder, Marcus Mariota.
Hawaiian Thunder. I love it. Full circle too at the top. I wasn't sure if you were fully in on this until we started.
Yeah, that was nice.
So I like it. Yeah, it's good thing about doing these shows. We always come around to find the winners. Good thing about doing these shows is we love working with you guys, getting you all the stuff. Good news about the show is we got another one coming up next. The Morning Wood 6 to midnight season. Let's go Hoop, Crain, Big T coming up next. But that's going to do it for this week, guys. For JT Hayes, for AP, for our guy Simon behind the scenes, I'm Toe Tag and Tambo. Thanks for joining us. Simon, get us out of here, man. What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. Water is wet and RPS members are shipping as usual. Our NBA content has been on fire since the beginning of the season. I kicked off the week by shipping a WFBBC seat on FanDuel using a low-owned Isaiah Livers recommended on the Premium Final Countdown show.
I hope he comes off the bench because I know for a fact they love this kid. They're going to give him run no matter what. They're probably going to push him, and he's $3,100.
Our premium content comes through big time, whether it's our up-to-lock shows, heat maps, core plays, or playbook. Join us today so you can start shipping too. I wasn't the only one shipping a seat last week. Our guy Locks secured a DraftKings NBA Live Final seat as well. AP's core plays from Sunday helped a bunch of members win too. Junior hit for $3,000, while Nick's story shipped for over $15K. Steve Boynton used our core plays and playbook to make a late swap that won him $3,000 in NBA. And Punisher used the NBA heat map to ship $100,000 on DraftKings. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button on this video as well. Keep the good mojo going. Our NFL dominance continued into week 8 as well with some big wins. D-Hops shipped for $4K on FanDuel. EJOCam won $5K. And Dirty Deeds 30 hit for $7,500. Some of our best screenshots aren't necessarily the huge scores. Bankroll building is a big part of becoming successful, and we love to see the good ROI hits too. Cusplove illustrated this perfectly, turning $2 into $800, while Wes turned $18 into $2,500 on DraftKings, and Jalapeno turned $198 into a monster $77K. His Great Pizza brought the great mojo in Cincinnati. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, and welcome to a little Morning Wood. We got you covered here on Run Pure Sports. I'm Eric Crain, and I am joined, as I am every single Sunday, by two of the absolute best in the industry. We got Hoop. We got Tony. Hoop, how we doing on this Sunday?
Doing well, man. Feeling good about the slate. Think there's some solid plays. I mean, it's another week where just running back is just loaded. I mean, just absolutely loaded. It feels like it's been like that for a few weeks now. It's a good one. A lot of spots to go, I think, and a lot of cases to be made, a lot of games to potentially target. Very appealing slate.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was on my show on Friday with Tambo and okay, who am I on with Tambo? Locks. And I kind of said it feels like we've played this slate 2 or 3 times this season already. It feels like this is the same freaking slate. You get the running backs, you get like 6 or 7 of these guys that are all too cheap. You get some high-end receivers, you get some cheap quarterbacks that are going to be chalk. Like, Tony, it feels like we've played this slate before, doesn't it?
Yeah, they keep pricing these running backs in the 6Ks, and then every single week they go for 1,000,000 points. And even like last week where we hit on a few contrarian plays, I think it just doesn't matter when these chalk guys drop 40. It just, I mean, it's tough sledding out there for the chalk. I sent the tweet last Sunday. Those contrarian people out there are getting absolutely torched on Sundays.
Hey, but their lineups aren't duped.
Their lineups are not duped. I mean, if you're not playing this one of these weeks, the running backs have to at least miss a little bit. They can't. And I've been playing them. I've always been more of a chalk kind of player than people realize with sports like football. I don't know. I mean, one of these weeks they can't get 40 every week, right?
I think
I don't know. This I think they can. The problem is, it's not like you're fading like 2 of them. There's like 7 that have the chance to get there. There's like literally 7 guys in that range that could get there. So it's hard. You know, I think it's another week where you need 40 from 2 of the guys.
Crazy. Yeah, last week was so tilting for me for McCaffrey. Like, I loved McCaffrey. He just totally friggin' nukes a 40 piece, and it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's just absolutely crazy.
You know, it could be the same situation with like Austin Eckler, because we'll talk about when we get there. Eckler is way more expensive than those guys. I love Eckler, but I just feel like 3 or 4 of the other guys are going to get like the same thing he gets.
Yeah. I had a buddy message me last night and he said, man, what do you think about AJ Dillon? You know, what do you think about Rashad White? Those were the 2 guys he asked about. And I said, look, man, like there are some weeks where those plays are fine. There are some weeks where you can gamble on spots like that. I don't think this is the week. I don't think this is the season because you just have way too many cheap running backs that are in good spots. And we're going to get to all of them, of course. It's just, I don't know. We've played this slate before. And yeah, maybe the running backs don't get there. But when you have 7 or 8 of these guys, some of them are going to get there. You know, when I play baseball, and he kind of used this analogy, when I play baseball and there are 10 stud pitchers on a slate, a couple of them are going to get you 30. It's the same thing with these running backs. When there are 7 or 8 good running back plays, a few of them are going to get you 30 and you're going to need them. We're going to try and figure out which ones those are. But before we get into it, guys, we got a ton of people watching. Appreciate you guys. We almost nearly 2,000 people watching. We appreciate it. We would also appreciate if you hit that like button, if you hit that subscribe button. That like button helps us out over at RunPureSports. And we're doing this show for free. And I don't think you're going to find many free shows out there with 3 people who have won the Millie Maker. So make sure you click that like button, click that subscribe button. It helps us out. And we are here to help you out. What do you say we dive into the games, guys?
Do it.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. But I don't mean to throw a little cold water, but somebody in the chat's repping my hometown, advanced to the 3rd round of the state playoffs. Go Murfreesboro. Just throwing it out there. I don't know. Somebody in the chat's like, Murfreesboro, round 3. And I'm like, that's right. We got it going on.
Usually I can do like multiple things. I'm decent at it with these shows. Like I got projections in Discord, but when I start hearing Murfreesboro or whatever, it threw me off my game a little bit.
Is that high school football?
That is high school football.
Oh boy, what a start! Before we talk about the NFL slate, let's talk about high school football. In
yes or
population of like 50 people.
Okay, it's like 9,000 people.
All right, yeah. I rounded down. Sorry.
Yes or no? Have you gambled on high school football in the past?
When I was in high school, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely when I was in high school.
I
haven't since I left high school. I don't think.
I've gambled on high school football in my 30s, man.
Like, I mean, if you're like there and like you're chilling and you got family there, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm not saying that.
Something you might be interested in.
It's something I might be interested in.
You go to one of those like high school basketball tournaments, like you gamble on some high school basketball. That's always so much fun.
Yeah,
that's always.
I mean, I don't disagree with the action part of it for sure, and it's boring if you're there and like you don't have. Family.
Oh yeah,
like you need a little action. Yeah.
It gets rough. The chat's excited about gambling on high school football. By the way, we're all going to get investigated really soon. Yeah. All right, let's talk Packers and Lions. 49.5 point total. Green Bay 3.5 point favorites on the road. We've been attacking this Lions defense all year. You got Aaron Rodgers priced at 5.9. Who I want to like Rodgers. I don't know who to play him with. He seems a little cheap. He's going to be chalky. What do you think about Rodgers and his Packers offense?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it even on like the cash show the other day. I'm just not as thrilled to play Rodgers as others. Like you go to any of these projection sites, he's going to be up there as a top value play. I get it. Detroit's defense is just terrible and crappy quarterbacks are able to get there. If I'm playing the Packers, I think I'd rather play Aaron Jones and just hope they beat the Lions that way. Because again, who do you want to play Rodgers with? Do I want to play him with Lazard? Do I want to play him with Dobbs? I don't know. I mean, it's a situation I'm not decided on yet. But I will definitely be lower on Rodgers, I think, than the field. It hasn't looked good. I don't like his weapons. So I'll have more Aaron Jones, I think, than anyone on this side. I think he can have a big game. I like the Detroit side, though. I like Goff a little bit. St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, Brock Wright if he's in there. We talked about this James Mitchell as a tournament dart throw as well. Not going to mess with the Swift Jamal Williams situation, but I do like the pass catchers and even Goff a little bit on the Lions side. But yeah, I guess the main thing for me here is I'm going to be a little bit under, I think, on Rodgers than the field.
Yeah, I'm going to be under on Rodgers too. I don't want to play Lazard. I don't want to play Dobbs. Like Bob Tunney's going to be chalky. He's fine, but I don't want to play him. Tony, do you want to play him?
I mean, I'm kind of with you guys where Green Bay's been terrible all year. I really don't want to be on Rodgers. But, man, the matchup, Detroit trading people away. It's inside. I mean, man, it's tough not to like these price points. At 5,900, I think Lazard's actually been quietly very good. He's banged up, but if he plays, he's had some good games at 6K. And no one's playing Lazard, like no one. So, yeah, Rodgers might be 10% owned, but literally no one's playing Alan Lazard at 6K. So you're going to give me a combo like that against Detroit. I mean, I have to include that in my pool. I can't live with myself if Rodgers throws 5 touchdowns against Detroit and I don't have some exposure to that. So I got to have that. I think the route tree is pretty good, actually. I mean, Dubs, Tanyan, Big Bob Tanyan, I don't know, like they're not getting that much ownership against Detroit where I definitely want some. And what I like too is like Hoop said, the Detroit bringbacks are just very clean and easy. Like Amon-Ra is too cheap. Khalif Raymond is too cheap. I mean, I could even make a case for the cheaper plays. I mean, Tom Kennedy, Brock Wright, if he play, who is it? Brock Wright questionable, but whoever the 2,500 tight end is that's in there, I can make a case for them too. So don't love this game. Like it's not going to be my core or anything, but in the Millie Maker, I think you're doing it yourself a disservice by not at least getting some of this game.
I will say, like, I should have more interest in this game than I do. Like it's a high total. Like Packers have nearly a 4 touchdown team total. Like I'm supposed to have more interest. Aaron Jones, obviously, and we talked about this in the open where we like him, but he's just a little expensive at that position this week, so I can't go there. I will say, you know how I give you guys a wide receiver? I give you guys wide receivers.
I like your receivers, yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna give you a wide receiver fade. How about that?
Oh, a fade.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a fade. I am absolutely fading the Sun God. I'm fading Amon-Ra this week. And I know I'm by myself because he's going to be really chalky. But dudes just don't throw at Jair Alexander. Like, quarterbacks don't throw at him. Like, we haven't seen it's really
Davis just shoved his cock right in old Jair's head.
That's because he was on Steph Diggs.
You said he shoved his cock
Diggs is who I was talking about.
You said he shoved his cock into his head?
Yeah, right inside of his head.
I like that.
He only had 6.
I don't like that being done to me, but I like the statement. It sounded cool.
Important clarification.
All right, Diggs only had 6 catches. All right, let's not act like yards. Like 70 something in a score. Yeah. Like it wasn't some insane game. Like if he doesn't get into the end zone, it's a total dud. I'm just saying that, like, I think that a fade is perfectly reasonable, and nobody wants fade. Everybody wants to play him. Like I dug into Amon-Ra last night. I just can't do it. All right,
let's go. I got demons with him, so you don't have to oversell me because he's definitely hurt my feelings.
All right, Chargers at Falcons, 49.5 point total. The Chargers 2.5 point favorites on the road. Hoop, I'm going to kick it to you, man, because Austin Eckler. Oh, look how happy Hoop is! Like
the chat's cracking me up. I mean, I can tell you with 100% certainty, I don't like cocks being jammed into the side of my head. I can promise that. They said I said it, but I will. Let me just. If you go back and replay the audio, it will sound like I said that. Not what I meant. Just to clarify, I thought it was a funny statement by Big T. I like the statement.
DC says at least the cock comment didn't come when they were talking about high schoolers.
Well, yeah, that would be a way to shut us down here.
Yeah, that's great. FBI has definitely entered the chat at that point. All right, Hoop, Austin Eckler, he's a great play. The Chargers, they're out of everybody. Mike Williams, he's out. Keenan Allen, he's out. I don't know who else is supposed to catch passes for this Chargers team. The problem is there's some opportunity cost running back. Can you pay 8.8 for Austin Eckler today?
I'm gonna do it. I mean, the fear of playing him though is what Big T kind of described in the opening last week, where McCaffrey just goes off, catches a touchdown, throws one, runs one in, and you still didn't need him because he did the same thing as the 6K running backs. That is the fear this week with Austin Eckler. But I just got to do it though. Still, regardless, I have to have some Eckler. 28 targets in the last 2 games. Now there's no Keenan Allen or Mike Williams out there. good matchup against the Falcons. They're projected to score a decent bit of points here. I have to get some exposure to Eckler. He could just fully nuke this thing. I mean, 50 fantasy points, I think is the realm of possibilities for him today if he scores some touchdowns. So I'm going to be in on him. I know the opportunity cost is big at the position, like you said, but I just have to play some of him. Play these other guys as well, Palmer, Carter, even this Bandy guy. I mean, he looked decent when he was out there. So I'll have all those guys. On the Falcons side, Pitts, your boy Pitts finally did something last week. Drake London, man, everyone just talks about the guy every week, and he literally just does nothing. But now he's cheap. 4.9K is very cheap for him. So yeah, I'll have a lot of this game. My favorite part by far is Eckler. But like I said, it could be a similar situation to last week where he has a massive game and you still don't need him because, 4 of these other 6K running backs do the same thing.
Man, I am just going to express how shocked I am that Hoop mentioned Bandy, the 5'9" white wide receiver. That is.
Well, when you toss it over to our other fella here, he's gonna shit on it. So
I'm gonna shit on Mr. Bandy. Like it's like there. I just can't do it. He's got your athleticism, buddy, and I've seen you swing a baseball bat. I don't.
Wow,
you don't need any of that.
Get in there on him, Crain.
If you want to challenge me, something, big boy, let's go. You pick it.
You went right after the swing. I love the morning one.
You picked the event. Dude, what was it? The tires, right?
Oh, the tires coming out.
I got the guy coming after my baseball swing that couldn't get to the tires.
He went right in on the swing.
I'm just saying that only one of us was on 60 Minutes, and it wasn't the baseball swing, buddy.
Good point.
Usually, I'm always in on the shit talk. I love sitting on the sideline.
That is true.
Yeah, this is great.
This is not seeing Tony sit on the sideline. That's a fair point. All right, Tony, this Chargers team, they're going to score some points. What are you doing with them?
Yeah, so I already gave this out on the Print Factory, and it was free this week, so I don't mind saying it again. My favorite spot of the year, I should save it for the workbench play, but a lot of people have already seen it, so whatever. Justin Herbert, baby. I've been waiting to target Atlanta's secondary. Cincinnati diced them 2 weeks ago. Last week, my Carolina stack that got made fun of on the show diced them as well. And this week, the Chargers are going to go nuclear. Herbert's look bad. The receivers aren't great, which I'm glad Mike Williams and Keenan are out because there'd be more interest in Herbert if they were in. I freaking love Josh Palmer. I love Everett. Gets a little more dicey as we go down with Bandy and Carter and Jason Moore, whoever that is, and Trey McKitty, some of those bums down there. But, man, I love Herbert. You can play Eckler with him if you want. Palmer's the guy I really like. Everett I really like. If you did want to fade Eckler, though, on those teams like Hoop's talking about where we want to play 3 stud running backs cheaper, like when those 3 cheap running backs crush, Eckler doesn't matter unless he gets like just a 50. But again, last week, McCaffrey, similar price and stuff, goes for 40, and it just didn't matter all that much to the nuts. Obviously 40, you get 40, you're still in good shape, but towards the nut, you're just not there. So I think an interesting leverage play is not play Eckler, play Herbert with Palmer and Everett. You got good run backs too, because the Chargers defense sucks. I mean, Pitts finally caught a touchdown last week. I don't know. I like Pitts again this week at tight end. Cordero Patterson's back. Again, running back, you probably don't want to go there. But I don't know. Just play Pitts on the way back. Lots of options, though. Friggin' love Herbert. My favorite play of the year so far, I think, at quarterback.
They might have to make me consider him. I'm sitting here down there in the cheap seats, the 5K range. I haven't really considered paying up at quarterback. It's tough to do on this slate. Like it's tough to do with the lineup with the wide receivers I want. I'll say that. And Drake London, you mentioned him. You're right, Hoop. He just does nothing, and I'm just going to keep clicking the button.
Well, at least it's a little cheaper though now. Nothing is a little cheaper than it was before.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. But first, guys, if you're enjoying hearing Hoop and I talk shit to each other, click that like button, click that subscribe
I just clicked
button.
it because I was enjoying it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tony.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a rare occurrence too, because me and Crain are usually pretty friendly. There hasn't been a lot of back and forth over the years. We've been boys. You've played on my what is it, the party poker account, or what when we were during the COVID days, we got accused of collusion. So usually
That
we're on
was
the same team.
unbelievable. Oh, one guy whose name shall not be named, like, I know that's Crain playing on Hoop's account. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I'll tell you what, guys. Don't
Poker
get
stars,
involved.
not party
Yeah,
poker.
yeah, it was old poker stars. It was party poker, man. That takes me back.
Yeah.
Like 2003, I'm playing on party poker, man. Like, yeah, I tell you what, don't play the king 8 from the big blind, otherwise you're going to get accused of. I remember the
king 5 for the
whatever.
record.
It's some trash ass hand, and they're like, "Oh, Hoop's playing a bad hand. It must be Crain on the account." Man, just kick Hoop out too, you fucking cowards. All right, let's talk Raiders and Jaguars. Click the like button, people. Raiders and Jaguars, 48.5 point total. Vegas, 2.5 point favorites on the road. We got a chalk Travis Etienne here at 6.3K. I think he is. I have a bad feeling about Etienne today. I can't describe why.
You've been on him all year.
I've been on him all year, and
Craig.
it's just a bad, nothing to back it up.
This hurts.
Okay.
On him all year.
I know. I've been on him all year, and this is the week.
This is not how you do it, Craig. When you're
They're
right
like-
all along, you stay on the wagon.
They're
You don't
like-
get off.
Okay.
You started the wagon, like you built the wagon from ground up. And now
You can't miss all year with him, and then when he's good, get off.
Okay, I'm just saying that there are like 8 running backs in this same range. There are so many good viable running backs.
None of them are better than Etienne, though.
Okay, so talk to me about Etienne, Tony.
I just think he's really good. I've always thought he's really good with you. I just didn't like James Robinson being in the mix, vulturing. Now he's gone. They're playing the Raiders. He's one of the plays Hoop is talking about where, when these guys score 30 plus at 6,300, it's just impossible to overcome when he's 40% owned. And I just can't fade it. I can be talked into fading some of the other guys, but I think he's my favorite in that chalky range. He just looks like a smash to me. The Raiders defense is bad. Other people are kind of looking. I've heard people want to play Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Ingram. Ingram's fine, but I don't know. I just want to play ETN and be good with that. So that's where I'm at. Yeah,
no, look, he's a good play. I'm just going with my gut. Okay, like everything says he's a good play.
What is the gut saying why he's not a good player?
The guts, it's just screaming at
now
me, buddy.
People are actually playing him. Craig's played him all season at like 2%. Now he's going to be owned, and you're done with him.
Listen to these guys. You got Mixon, Mostert,
Mixon is
Ramondre.
literally the shittiest dude I've ever seen in my life. He's like Zeke. As a Bengals fan, anyone that wants action, please give me ETN versus Mixon.
Mixon's
much as anyone wants.
I'm just saying. I'm just naming off like 8
bad.
guys. Okay.
Don't play Mixon over.
Mixon's not on my team either. Like I'm not playing Mixon. I'm not playing either of them. Hoop, I assume you're playing ETN.
Yeah, a little disappointing that you got who's behind him. We got Tasty Hasty behind him. Our guy Jermichael Hasty is the next guy in line. No more James Robinson. The spot's really good. I agree with Tony. I think a lot of people are making the case for some of these other pieces in this game. I just want to play ETN, and that's probably what I'm going to do. On the Raiders side, man, what the Raiders did last week was, that was beyond like a bad performance. I don't even know the word to describe it, but it was worse than bad, embarrassing. Are they able to turn it around? Like, man, that was just so painful. They couldn't even get the ball over midfield. Derek Carr sucks. We talked about it on the show. Like, there's no excuses anymore for Derek Carr. Like, he should be able to be somewhat productive. It's just a disaster. Moreau at tight end. What I did like out of Moreau last week, he was there all the way to the end. They were getting their ass kicked, and he was still out there catching passes, kind of salvaged his week at the end. 9 targets, 6 catches for 31 yards. I'm fine with him at tight end for sure. Josh Jacobs should be really low owned. Was absolutely dominant. If he had a decent week last week, if he scores those 20 fantasy points, he's going to be massively owned this week, but he didn't. He busted. His ownership's going to be low. I have to get a little bit of him. It's really just going to be Jacobs, Foster Moreau, and ETN for me in this game.
No Devontae?
Fuck,
I
man.
think Devontae is
Yeah.
one of the best plays on the slate.
I mean, yeah, all right, then I'll play him. I mean, you're the wide receiver guy. I'll get some exposure doing that if you
I
feel
mean,
that way.
Last week he had the flu. Now he gets just an absolutely elite matchup with the Jags. Like
Putting a
8
note in
point-
right now to add some Adams because of that comment. So
Do you like write this stuff down? Do you have like a pad of paper there?
yeah.
I know Tambo beats me every damn week with his pad of paper writing down the notes and then owns me with my notes.
Yep. I always write notes. I need reminders because I can't remember shit. So like I said, I want to add Devontae, then it's going to get to the end of the show and I'm going to forget to do it. So I have my note here.
All right. No, I just like this is just such an elite match when you're going to get Devontae Adams when he's $1,000 too cheap and you're going to get him under 10%. Like it's just
All
an
right,
absolute
let's roll.
amazing
I'm in.
spot. Tony, what do you think about this Raiders side?
Yeah, I mean, last week they're my most disappointing team, honestly. I thought they would be very good this year. They just haven't been. They've been terrible, and I'm scarred from last week. Honestly, I'm more along with Hoop than I usually am in these spots like this. Foster Moreau's a good play. Even Foster Moreau's getting steamed a little bit though. Something about this game, just like Crain said with the gut and ETN, I don't love this game compared to other spots. Like Jacobs, he's 1,000 more than all the like really chalky guys. I don't know if I can come back with Jacobs. I kind of just feel like Jacksonville owns them. I don't. Maybe it's last week's bias in me, but I just think Jacksonville's better than them. And Derek Carr's terrible. Devontae just hasn't got it going with Derek. I don't like Jacobs. I do like Foster Moreau, but again, if he's going to be 25% after last week's pretty good game, I don't really want to play that. I would pivot to any of those tight ends in that range too. So I don't know. I think it's just ETN here for me that I'm really convicted on.
All right, I'm convicted on you need to click the damn like button. We got 2,300 people watching. Appreciate it. That's a lot of people. Really appreciate you guys watching, guys. There's a little like button right there. Click that little thumbs up. It's going to help us out over here at RunPureSports. And yeah, we appreciate it. If you want a plays of the day, we're looking to get to 1,200. We're at 1,000 right now. We got the porn bots in the chat. Holden, thank you for that. It's a good time over here. We are partying it up. All right. Dolphins at the Bears, 45.5 point total. Miami, 4.5 point favorite. Hoop, I'm going to start with you. This isn't a game 2 years ago we would have won anybody in. And now all of a sudden the Dolphins are high flying. You got Tyreek and Waddle. Not going to be super popular. Mostert at 6'1", he's in play. On the other side, Justin Fields, he's been one of the top fantasy quarterbacks in football for the last few weeks, and he's going to be low owned. Darnell Mooney's going to be low owned. I like this Bears side maybe more than I should. What are you doing here, Hoop?
So this is a spot for me, like games in Chicago, I just typically not avoid, but like mark it down a little bit. And I think that's what I'm going to do this week. Like, I just don't like playing teams when they're in Chicago. Tyreek Hill is an absolute freak and, a guy I think a lot of people missed on coming into the season. I know people, they do their best ball bullshit and, they're able to have their takes and then, just move on past them once best ball starts. But so many people were low on Tyreek Hill, including myself. And that was a big mistake. Yeah, I think a lot of people should be taking their L's here. He's looked phenomenal, and Tua's looked phenomenal with him. So I will have some Tyreek for that reason. I'm not going to have Mostert, though, just because of those other running backs are just so damn good. And you guys shit on one of the guys that I really like in the 6K range coming up here in a couple of games that we'll get to. So I can't get to Mostert here. Just going to be Tyreek on the Dolphin side. And then I'll be fading the Bears in tournaments. I think Fields is fine for cash games. I'm cool going cheap at quarterback. He's been very solid from floor perspective. So I think he's a guy you can consider in cash games. Mooney, I'll have a little bit of exposure to, but this game's mostly a fade for me outside of Tyreek.
All right, do yourself a favor and kick up the Mooney exposure.
Man, the notes section is growing here.
4,700 and he's going to get 20. Like, just freaking kick up the Mooney exposure and thank me later, Tony.
I got Devontae Adams up, Mooney up. I don't know
you're
if you can see the
you're
note,
just
is there.
You're just reading my lineups right now. I like it. I like the paper. I don't have any paper in here. I need to get me some paper. Man, the porn bots are on fire today in the chat. Like, welcome, guys. Appreciate you. Tony, what are you doing with this game?
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like Mooney. I always like the Crain takes too. Chase Claypool has to help Mooney at least a little bit.
Oh, it definitely.
I mean, he's been working
yeah.
with nothing on the other side. So I don't know, like, if you would need to play a guy like Claypool this week, but it has to help Mooney. So I'm in on that. I like the Mooney call. Fields is a good play. I'm definitely going to have some Fields. I kind of with Hoop again, though. Like, it's a good thing when we're aligned most cases on a Sunday, because the weather in Chicago terrifies me. They like to play slow. They like to run the ball with Montgomery and Herbert. Herbert looks way better, like we say every week, but I don't know how long it'll take for him just to get all the work, but he should already. I think the Bears are underrated. I love the Dolphins. I've been on them all year, every single week. I think it's a pretty bad spot for the Dolphins this week, though. In this weather, I don't think they're going to – I mean, Tua with his little noodle arm that he was chirping the media. I mean, you're in a great system, buddy, with two great receivers. Like, calm yourself a little bit here. It's not necessarily what you're doing. So I don't love the spot. Mostert, I don't know. I'm kind of with Hoop. I don't love the weather in Chicago. When's the last time like a windy, nasty Chicago spot did good? I just don't.
And this is one of those stadiums where some of the stadiums are built to maybe protect the wind. This one, when it's windy, it plays windy on the field.
Chicago's weather just sucks. Like, since I was a kid, like, I'd always have to fly through Chicago to get to Cincinnati because my dad lived here. Flights would get canceled like every single time because the weather always sucks in Chicago, like always.
Yep.
I mean, I never thought that.
Isn't it supposed to be sunny and 60? Sunny and 60 is not like sunny and 60 other places.
It's beautiful here in Illinois today. It is gorgeous. Now, I might be 6 hours south of Chicago, so I might not know what the hell I'm talking about, but still.
Hoop's closer to
Are you
Chicago
really 6 hours from Chicago?
Yeah, I'm 6 hours
I'm
south.
only like 4 from Chicago.
Yeah,
I'm closer
Hoop
than
and Big
you.
T are closer to Chicago than I'm 4 as well.
How are you 6? How big is freaking Illinois?
Illinois is a long state, man.
Jesus.
Like, when I say Southern Illinois, I mean Southern. I'm 2 hours from St.
Crazy.
Louis. Tony's over here like, man,
I'm mind blown that you're further from Chicago than me. Like, that's crazy.
I just love this show where Tony's like, man, geography's fucking crazy. Like,
I'm definitely not. Don't be making fun of me. You're making fun of Hoop this show. Get out of here.
We'll tag team your ass, Crain. You're going to be getting flying elbows.
I do not want to get tag teamed by.
No, I'm on the sideline this show. I'm watching you two for one.
You can get tag teamed by Hoop and Big T, or you can get the who was it? The Gabe Davis penis to the side of the head.
Was that Gabe? I said that. Oh yeah,
wasn't it right against Jair Alexander?
Hammer says Crain gets up with the chicken. That's how we roll down here. We got a lot of farmland. Let me just go plow the corn. I don't know. Is that what you do to corn? I don't know.
Plow
let's
the
just
field,
say
right?
that
You got to plow the field.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is not a euphemism. All right, let's talk Colts and Patriots. 40.5 point total. The Patriots 4.5 point favorites. It's a low total, but Hoop, we like some running backs in this game. Deion Jackson, 5'2". He's going to get all the work for Indianapolis. Ramondre Stevenson. No Damian Harris today. Like, I like both these running backs, and I think you can play them together. Hoop, do you think the same?
Yeah, I mean, so Damian Harris out for the Patriots. I think some of the bigger piece of news that came out really the last couple of days, because Stevenson has kind of already been taking that job and kind of turning into the guy in New England. Now they're at home, favored, gets work in the passing game. I mean, 8 targets for Stevenson last week, 8 targets the week before, 5. Like, man, this is a guy very tough to fade in this spot. Like 4, 5, 6, 7 dudes, I think. Probably 7 guys that are in this range that are in play. He might be at the top of the list, man. You like the Patriots at home when they're favored. If they get a lead, they're just going to pound it with him, and he's in the passing game as well. So have to love him at 6'2". Very, very strong play. Then Deion Jackson on the other side. The thing I like about Deion Jackson is he's kind of a tier below those guys in terms of pricing. We have a lot of guys bunched up in that 6K. Jackson's basically $1,000 cheaper than all those guys, and he actually looked good in these spots without Jonathan Taylor. So very interested in him at 5'2", but that's where it ends for me. It's just the running backs here, nothing else.
Yeah, and typically we don't like to play running backs together. Like that's kind of a rule that I'll set a lot of the time. But Tony, I don't know about you, but I'm playing both these guys together, and I feel great about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see a reason not to. It does always feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like I agree with. Well, we've talked about it on this show even this year because some of these chalk running back spots fall into this same bucket. But yeah, Indy, I mean, you can go with Deion Jackson. He's looked good at times. The issue I have with Deion, again, is just those 6K running backs. And again, I'm not going to fade him. Just like I'm not going to fade Eckler, I'm going to put him in my 150. But if you're talking just main teams, like I can't ever see myself using Deion Jackson on like a main build. I think he's a perfect Millie build because he can just kind of fall in where you need him to fall in. And I think he's a good play. Man, the Colts, though, they traded away Hines. They kind of are just not looking like they're going to make a run this year. So I could see them tanking, which is even better for Ramondre. And I know we already talked about ETN. Hoop talked about it at the beginning. We're going to keep talking about it as the show goes. Man, if you start your running backs with ETN and Ramondre, I know they're chalky, but man, all season long, the chalk's crushed. And these two guys in this spot with no backups behind them, I just don't see how they don't get there outside of injury. I don't want to jinx it by saying injury. I'm not jinxing it because I'm going to play them. But if they're in there, they're going to get there, in my opinion. They both have good matchups. So that's where I'm starting my teams. And I love it. And the good part about both teams, too, is I don't love, like, Jacoby Myers will get some ownership, but I hate the rest of the team. So just give me Ramondre. Let him catch a bunch of balls. And hopefully not to the side of the head like our boy Zaire, but Ramondre for me.
The one thing, just to add on to that, the Deion Jackson thing reminds me potentially of the situation a couple weeks ago. We picked all those cheap running backs that got there. They all got 25, the Zeke week, the Foreman week, where we made fun of all our guys and they all ended up getting there. But it wasn't good enough because so many guys went for 36, 37. That could be the case with Deion Jackson this week, where he gets there. He gets 22, 23, which would be a great day for Deion Jackson, but it might not be enough. One more thing. He's 5K on FanDuel. That is a very, very strong FanDuel play at 5K flat.
I'll give the flip side. So this is, for whatever reason, and take this with a grain of salt, I've crushed FanDuel all year and I haven't done as good on DK. Just full disclosure. When everyone just lops onto a guy like that, and he will today at 5K, he will get steamed very, very hard because of the price. I just have done a good job kind of just getting off him and just playing the good plays over the values. And it's worked really good on FanDuel. So, again, he's a great play. I'm not saying he's not because his price is absurd. But on FanDuel, it's easy to fit more guys. And, if you play just say you wanted to play ETN, Stevenson, and Eckler or something, those three. When those three go off and Deion Jackson gets 10, because on FanDuel, you're not getting that PPR stuff either. You're just going to smash the field, and it's what's been helping me a lot this year. So, yeah, he's a better play on FanDuel, but I also think he's a better tournament fade because of that.
All right, let's move on to the Panthers and the Bengals. Tony's Bengals, 42.
PJ Washington, baby.
Okay, again, that's still not his name.
That was fun last week, though, when we talked about
it. He got there for the members,
yes, sir.
Man. I thought you were a stone cold psychopath talking about PJ Washington or PJ Walker or whatever the hell you
PJ Washington forever on this show, baby.
I thought you were a psychopath. And he did get there. The Bengals
did I do that? That was me, right? Last week they called him PJ Washington.
Yeah, but it was worth it. Now he's forever known as PJ.
Paid off for you. Paid dividends.
Really quick, the chat wants to know about Sam Ellinger, and that's just not something I'm doing this
week. I'm definitely not going back to his candy ass after last week. Not against New England.
No, that was painful.
If you want to spend 5K on a guy, do it on Justin Fields.
If he was 4K again, I'd be tempted, to be honest, but he's not. I mean, it's a big difference. 5K gets him in there with all those good plays. There's a bunch of good plays in the 5Ks.
Yeah, just find the extra $200 for Fields or find the extra $900 for Rodgers. that you're not playing Sam Ehlinger today. I don't think you're playing PJ Washington either, Tony. 42.5 point total between the Panthers and the Bengals. Cincinnati 7-point favorites at home. Tony, I'll start with you with your Bengals. You get T. Higgins here. He's 7-3. He's priced up with no Jamar Chase. You get Joe Mixon, going to be chalky at 6,500 as a big home favorite. Tony, what are your Bengals going to do?
Yeah, I mean, maybe one of my strongest takes of the week is I just think the Bengals are in big, big trouble without Jamar. I know they look bad. I was on the Browns last week. I'm not too prideful to get off my teams when I need to. Without Jamar Chase, they're just a different team. Their O-line still isn't good. T. Higgins is a number 2, not a number 1. I love that people are going to play him today a little bit. I just think he's a bad play. Mixon looks like Zeke. Yeah, if you want to get 2 1-yard touchdowns, play Mixon. If you don't think he'll get 2 1-yarders, he's not going to get there. He's Zeke. Mixon is Zeke, Spider-Man gift. Like, that's who they are. They're not any good. I wish Mixon would be 6K every week so that people actually play him. I mean, the dude's going to be 20% owned, and he's a total dust ball right now. I wouldn't be totally shocked. There's been a lot of talk around here of Pirine and Chris Evans getting more work because of how bad Mixon's looked. So if anyone wants a chalk fade in the 6K range, it's Mixon for me, without a doubt. I know people are going to want to play these guys against Carolina. I've seen people in the chat. I just don't see it. Carolina's defense is decent, and I just don't see it with my Bengals. I'm totally off the Bengals. If anything, I'm on Carolina's defense against the Bengals at a cheap price. It's my team, but we friggin' need Jamar Chase. We're not near as good. Nothing's the same without Jamar. And like you said, even T. Higgins is priced up a little bit. 7,300 is expensive for him to me. So I'm out on the Bengals.
Well, what about the Panthers side? Because Deonta Foreman's somebody who I know you liked last week. He got
2 weeks ago too.
Yeah, he got 26 carries last week. Like, if you don't think the Bengals are going to get there, I assume you think that Foreman and the Panthers will.
Yeah, I just running back. I don't know what it is this week. I really love those 2 we talked about. So it only leaves one spot. Yeah, I'll have some Foreman without a doubt. He's got tons of workload. I think he could do good. I'm not like jamming him, but I like him. I won't say I don't. He falls in that same bucket of kind of Dion, and he's going to be in my player pool. Not going to go crazy with him though. DJ Moore, I think you can play him again too. His price is cheap. Even Terrace Marshall got like 3 or 4. I know last week I was on that stack and I was very happy. Yeah, DJ Moore got there with the long touchdown, but they missed some balls too. Like PJ Washington missed him on the deep ball that would have been a touchdown earlier. Terrace Marshall got like 3 or 4 end zone looks. They like this guy and he's 3,900. So I don't have an issue with I wouldn't play more than one of these guys in a team. So that's a basic rule you can do. But I do think one of these guys probably gets there.
All right, what about you, Hoop? Are you playing Foreman? Are you playing this Bengals side? What are you doing in this game?
Just got a message from Simon. We need 1,400 likes. So you guys,
1,400, man. I said 1,200. Like, just
like this is if JT Higgins here, he might just walk off the set. Like he would be so hurtful. So 1,400 is very simple. I mean,
guys,
yeah,
you heard it, guys. 1,400. We have 2,440 people watching. 1,400 likes if you want the plays of the day. So we need to get going on that. So it's a little thumbs up button like this. Click the damn like button. It helps us out over at RunPureSports. We would really appreciate it. So, and plus, we're giving you this content for free, guys. Who the hell gives you 3 Millie Maker winners for free? That doesn't happen. And I can say that because Hoop won it like 3 weeks ago, and he's probably going to win it this week because that's how Hoop rolls. And yeah. So click that like button. Click that like button. It helps us out.
It would be the perfect backdrop with 2 NFL ones behind him.
Yeah,
I want that symmetry.
I got this thing here, and I need something on the other side. So let's maybe we'll get it going this week.
Can we get the wife to agree though? Like if there's another one, we can get rid of the rings and just put the 2.
Well, I think
2 statues.
I think the statues are just going to cover up the rings because I don't think.
Can we just take them down though? Like just make. She'll agree to that deal. Just say it. Like
I bet if Big T comes up to the Hoop household and tells Mrs. T they're coming down, you might
do that just to get the rings down. You might be
able to work out a deal.
I might be interested in
something. Yeah, you might be able to get that job done. I'm a little more optimistic, I think, in the Bengals here. I mean, it just can't be as bad as it was last week. 1 week removed, obviously, from that disastrous game against the Browns. They still have pieces. I mean, Joe Mixon sucks. I am just so pot committed, I think, on Mixon, where I have to play him. They're 7-point favorites at home. The guy got 9 targets last week. But, like you guys have said, he sucks. He's been terrible. But if he gets 9 targets and falls into the end zone twice, he's going to potentially get there. So I'm in on Mixon. The price is just too cheap. They're at home, favored by 7. I got to do it. T. Higgins, I do think benefits from Jamar Chase being out there. But again, I got to play a little bit of T. Higgins here. Hayden Hurst, cheap tight end. You can put him in the mix. I really like that Terrence Marshall call. I mean, 3.9K, got 8 or 9 targets last week. There's not many cheap wide receivers. DJ Moore, you can go back to him. Foreman's a guy that I'll probably be out on, though. There's just too many guys. I think those other guys are way better. So I'll be off Foreman. Like DJ Moore, like Marshall. I like Mixon and Higgins.
All right. Yeah, DJ Moore's fine. I feel like I just missed DJ Moore. I feel like I wasn't there at 4,800. I can't jump on at 5,800. I don't know. Maybe that's just me messing with my own head, but that's how I feel. But there's a lot of talk in the chat, Hoop, about your rings. And I just got to say that I've been doing shows with you since you realize it's been 8 years.
It's been a
7
while,
or 8
man.
years.
We
7 or 8 years.
History.
7 or 8 years we've been doing shows together, and you've had those rings the entire damn time. It's incredible. Do you guys just never redecorate?
No, Mrs. Hoop does. I mean, Big T's been here. The
house is immaculate. I guarantee it looks the same though, but it looks immaculate.
Yeah, she's very specific.
Way cleaner than House Niehaus, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Mrs. Hoop does not mess around. It'll be, if you come to Hoop's house, it'd probably be one of the cleanest houses you ever step foot into. She is very, and I'm not like that. I'm not messy, but I'm not over the top clean. She's very specific about the decorations. She does good. She has things for different times of the year and all that crap. I literally don't give a fuck. So I just let her do her own thing. The rings don't bother me as much as they bother other people. So, I mean, they kind of, you got the 2 right over the head.
I like the ring. I like the rings.
Yeah.
So they kind of look like Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah. People always talk about them. So
like Mickey Mouse ears.
We're not going down the Brit Divine route. All right. I'm not wearing I'm not wearing Mickey Mouse ears. I can promise you that. Dan Bach got in there wearing the ears. Man, definitely not. That's one of my favorite pictures too. Dan wearing the freaking Mickey Mouse ears at Brit's wedding. Good times in the past. But I'm not a Mickey Mouse. I mean, that's one spot where Hoop and Big T are aligned and will remain aligned forever.
That's too good. All right. I don't know how to segue from that. Vikings at Commanders, 43.5 point total. Minnesota 3-point favorites on the road. Tony, I'll start with you, man. Justin Jefferson's a fine play, but I'm not going out of my way to pick him. I don't really like anything in this game. Do you?
So I always talk about some of the threads that I think this is why I have a good feel for stuff too, because I pick up stuff just from looking at Twitter and stuff throughout the week. So I don't necessarily build teams till Sunday, but I pick up stuff throughout the week. And I've seen some crazy stat where Minnesota's played 4 or 5 straight teams with no pass rushes whatsoever. And now they face Washington, who's number 3 in pass rush. So whenever I think pass rush and Kirk Cousins, man, I get scared because he is not good when you start getting pressure on him. He can't move at all. And I am definitely concerned. So I'm not going to be on much here. Jefferson for sure. I'm definitely going to be in on Jefferson. He was talking all week about wanting touchdowns and different stuff like that, chirping a little bit. I like it when he starts chirping. And I think he's my top receiver of the day. Whether I can get to him or not is a different subject. But he's my top just points guy, even ahead of Cooper Kupp this week. Kupp looked a little banged up to me last week. So, he's my top guy there. And then the Washington side, more of the same. I kind of think this game plays somewhat ugly. McLaurin has looked somewhat good, caught the big play last week to get the job done. I guess I could play him. Definitely not playing the running backs. So, McLaurin and Jefferson from here, just the 2 stud receivers.
I know Antonio Gibson's getting steamed up a little bit, but
I don't get it either.
I don't really get it either. I don't know. Maybe he catches. Yeah, he's over 10%.
What?
I've heard
With all
people like
these-
talking him up too, and I
Yeah.
don't get it.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that because I've had some
Is
people
it just
privately ask
because what's his name's out or something?
McKissick. Yeah, that's why.
That's the only reason, though.
What?
Yeah,
Man, that's wild.
yeah. Like I'm not going there. Maybe
Yeah,
he catches
I don't
10
get
balls and we all look stupid, but like I'm glad to hear that you guys aren't on him either because I was like 5'5" running back. Maybe I want to get him in there, but I don't know. It just
The
doesn't
chat's
feel like
talking
the
about
week.
the D too, like 2,400 Washington.
I think you can totally do that.
It's a great play, right? Like, how many times have we
Yeah.
seen Kirk Cousins get sacked and throw picks? The good part about Cousins, when they start getting to him, they just keep getting to him, and it just snowballs, which is what we want in tournaments. 2,400. I mean, sign me up.
I'm playing with my lineup right now because they were my initial defense, and I got off of them for a little bit. Now maybe I can find a way to get back on them. I don't know. It's fun. I love building lineups. Hoop, are you doing anything in this game?
Not much. I like Terry McLaurin more with Heineke back there, 5.9K. I think it's a good price tag for him. Definitely not playing Antonio Gibson. That information was pretty shocking to me. Justin Jefferson, I love. I think we see him pretty low owned. Just pulling this up. I mean, yeah, probably
All year long. Every
Yeah.
week I play him, and every week he's like less than 10% owned.
Yeah. I mean, you could just nuke it. I mean, absolutely nuke the slate. In on him for sure. In on Scary Terry, and I'll just Curtis Samuel will play on DK a little bit as well. But yeah, not in on anything else here.
Yeah, this is sort of a cross-off game for me too. I do like the Washington defense call. I've got a few builds that I'm playing with. One of them I can get Washington, I can get Tampa. I don't know. I like that Tampa defense though. All right, Bills at the Jets, 45.5 point total. Buffalo, big old 10.5 point favorites here. Hoop, I'm going to kick it off with you here because Stephon Diggs, 8-4, not going to be too popular. Gabe Davis, this could absolutely be a Gabe Davis smash spot. I know the cock in the head with Gabe Davis is a thing with you. So what do you think about Gabe? What do you think about this Bills side?
Yeah, I'm in on.
You're in on the hoop cock in the head play of the day. I love it.
Yes, I'm not in on the penis to the side of the head, but I'm in on the fantasy football player. I think it's a spot where the Bills side comes in low owned. I mean, I don't think many people are going to spend all the way up to Allen because we have all these wide receivers and running backs, and then Stephon Diggs is up there at 8-4, Gabe Davis at 6-9. There's just no way these guys are owned. You get the best offense in football at low ownership. Like I'm in for sure. So it's not going to take much to get way over the field. So I'll have a lot of Allen, Diggs, Gabe Davis. I like what I saw to Garrett Wilson last week. He looked very solid. 4.8K on DK, in on him, and then Conklin as well as a cheap tight end. So I'm seeing the Bills as low owned today. So I'm going to definitely be in on the Bills at low ownership.
Yeah, I like the Bills. I like Gabe Davis. I like Stephon Diggs. I like all these guys. And you mentioned Conklin. I like Conklin a lot, man. Like he gets a lot of usage. They don't like any of these other receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. Like Conklin, 10 targets last week. I'm not even concerned. Yeah, he crushed it, but like, I don't think he's going to get 2 touchdowns, but you don't need 2 touchdowns. Give me 15 points and I'm fine at 3,200. Tony, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Gabe Davis is going to be so freaking low because of his price. Like he should be, just looking at projections and price, like just according to that, he should be like 1,000 less. So he's one of the overpriced guys just based on projection. But that's the good part about Gabe Davis. And it's why we get him low owned when we play at these spots. So I don't know. He's nuked tons of slates over the years. Yeah, when he's bad, he usually doesn't do anything and it hurts you. But that's what tournaments are for. So I basically agree with everything you guys said in this game. Allen, Diggs, Gabe. I'm not going to play the running game, especially now that they add Hines into the mix. I do think Hines was a nice, quiet little pickup for them, though, in the passing game where they can get him in the mix too. That's pretty scary fit for them. So like that. And then, yeah, I agree with your guys' takes on the Jets as well, where Wilson's a stud, man. Not Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson blows. Garrett Wilson is a stud, and I like him. 4,800. Conklin crushed last week. He was in the winner. 3,200. I forget who was I talked about a 3,200 tight end earlier that was chalky. I don't have
Foster Moreau.
Yeah, I'd rather play. I thought it was even someone else, wasn't it? Either way, I like Conklin a lot to that. Who was the other one in there? Ingram. Ingram was the one that I would rather pivot Ingram and Foster Moreau to Conklin. Like, I think Conklin is just a better play right now, and it kind of goes good with the Buffalo guys. So yeah, I agree with a lot what you guys are saying in this one.
I've seen a few questions in the chat about Michael Carter. I just don't think it's the slate for him.
Just don't gamble as much at running back this week. Like, there's just too many good plays. Crain brought up the good example of pitching in baseball. When there's 10 studs, don't punt pitcher on that day, because a couple of those dudes are going to smash. A couple of these running backs are going to smash. So I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Like, it's just, look, there are weeks where you don't have any value at running back and you can roll the dice on a guy like Michael Carter. This is not that week. Stop getting cute. Speaking of getting cute, get cute with that like button. We're up to 1,300 likes, so we need 100 more for the plays of the day. We got 2,564 of you beautiful, beautiful people watching. So we need you to click that thumbs up, click that like button, 1,400 likes. We are getting to the plays of the day if we do that. And maybe the play of the day is going to come from this next game. Seattle at Arizona, big old 48.5 point total. Arizona, 1.5 favorites. And I think DeAndre Hopkins is right up there with Devontae Adams as one of the best plays on the slate. Hoop, are you on Mr. Hopkins with me?
Couldn't agree more. I mean, I think he's a phenomenal play. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal play. I mean, you look at what he's done since he's come back. He's gone off in 2 straight games. The rest of this offense is a disaster. You know, Kyler is not good, but he knows that he's got to get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. 7.9K. I think he's an 8K guy. I think he's up there with those other dudes. So I think you're getting a little bit of a discount on DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think he'll be super highly owned. Love him. I'm fine with a little bit of Rondale Moore as well. Definitely not playing Zach Ertz. So Hopkins, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. I'm good with Rondale Moore. I'm going to have some Kyler because I do every week, despite, thinking he sucks at football. Seahawks side, it's a nice game to target because you have run backs here. You got DK Metcalf, who can torch a slate. You got Tyler Lockett, who's having a solid season as well. And I like my boy Geno. I mean, obviously he has a special spot in my heart for being on that Millie winning team. Go right back to him here. This game kind of dudded out last time they played. I think it could go nuclear. So in on a lot of pieces here. Love the wide receivers, in on both quarterbacks, and then Kenneth Walker. I'm not decided on Kenneth Walker. I really like those other guys more in that in the range. Like I like Mixon more, Ramondre Stevenson. Who's your boy ETN. So I don't know how much Walker I'll get to. More really interested in the passing attack here on both sides though.
Yeah, I was going to ask you specifically about Kenneth Walker because he's one of those running backs in that same range. He's going to be very popular, about 25% owned. And I wanted to hear what you had to say, and that concerns me because he's in my lineup. Tony, can you talk me into Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of falls in that next bucket for me too, where he's behind the top 2 guys, but he's also a good play. And I'm definitely going to play him some. And I'd probably rank him somewhere between, just that next tier behind the 2 that I think are very good plays, ETN and Ramondre. But somewhere in that 3 to 6 rank. I like Seattle more than most people do, though. Arizona's a dumpster fire. I watched Seattle dominate this team a few weeks ago. I know they got hot now, but I still think Arizona's a disaster. And I think Seattle's just a better football team. So if Seattle is going to win, which I think they're going to win, I have to like Ken Walker. So I'm going to be on him. I think my fade of the day is going to be Hop. I'm off with you guys. So
Tony, that's like
this is what I need. This
okay. So hold on. You got the guy who can pick receivers saying he's one of the best on the slate, and you got Hoop who just crushes saying he's one of the best on the slate. Like that's his binky, man. That's Kyler's binky. All he wants to do is throw to him 15 times a game, and now he gets a matchup that you and I could score on. Like I don't get it, man. Like
you and I could.
That's the penis to the side of the face fade of the day right there.
All right, this graphic is going to get really awkward, I think.
I mean,
Helmet, drop the graphic. The penis to the side of the face fade of the day.
Yeah.
Big T's gonna get mushroomed. Hopkins gonna mushroom stomp Big T.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, get your notepad out, Tony.
I mean, you
He's
guys
not feeling
can
it.
do whatever you want. Arizona's fucking terrible.
They
Hop's
are
chalky.
terrible.
I think he's
I
a horrible
agree.
play. So we'll recalibrate. I've won the last few battles. I'll give you guys the chalkiest receiver on the slate, and we'll see how
No,
we
he's
end
not
up.
the chalkiest receiver on the slate. There's no way.
There's no way.
He's
like
not the
he's
chalkiest.
gonna be like 20%.
Okay.
I mean, all those guys will get ownership up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna say you get
I
Devontae
bet
and
Hopkins up
Hopkins.
the highest owned on the slate.
All right, you get
Highest
Devontae
bet
and
he
wide
bust.
receiver. I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll
Who
see.
you think's higher? Don't want somebody out there.
I'll throw out Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Definitely.
I think Tyreek Hill is the highest owned.
Okay. Either
All
way,
right.
I think he
It doesn't
bust.
matter.
Seattle
get
shut
spread
down
out.
like 3 straight teams. Arizona sucks. I'll take my chances. You guys can have them.
Okay, I will gladly take DeAndre Hopkins. By the way, guys, we're still waiting to get to 1,400 likes. We're close. You're so close. You're in the 1,300s. Click that like button. Helps us out at Run Pure Sports. And yeah, we appreciate it. We would appreciate it, even though Tony just gave a disaster take on DeAndre Hopkins. Just a disaster. So
Feel
wait,
great
Tony.
about it too, so I'm happy.
So are you playing anybody on the Seattle side then, Tony?
I'm playing Ken Walker. I think this game sucks. I watched it. Arizona's horrible.
All right. Well, let's move on then to our last game of the slate, a game where, speaking of teams that suck, we have the Rams and the Bucks, 42.5-point total. Tampa Bay 3-point favorites. Man, Hoop, it is tough to like anybody in this game. Who do you? I mean, I guess Chris Godwin's a thing, but like, I don't know. I don't want to play anybody here.
The one thing to note, though, about that Cardinals team, since Hopkins has returned, they've just been in shootouts. I mean, 26-34, that Minnesota game, and then 42-34 against the Saints. So, I mean, I do think they suck, don't get me wrong, but I believe their offense has changed a little bit.
I mean, they had
Hopkins.
2 pick sixes versus the Saints.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still a high-scoring game. Take one of those off the board, and it's in the 60s still.
I feel like we hurt Tony. I feel like we hurt your feelings. I'm sorry.
No, I love it when you guys argue with me. I feel great about it, especially when it's like I take stands on like really chalky plays, and when they go off, like people rub it in, but when they miss, then everyone goes quiet.
Hey, look, I will absolutely be quiet if DeAndre Hopkins misses.
Okay,
I will sit here.
I'm missing at that price too. Like, what's the miss? What if he gets 15 today? Is that a miss?
That's a miss. If he only gets 15, that's a miss.
So what's our number to see who's the victor next week?
I mean, it's 37. It's 37.
37X is going to be tough for you guys. I like my chances with that one.
Yeah, he's got to get like 90 fantasy points.
What's our number? I want a number so that I can victory lap you guys.
Bust, I'd say under 20, yeah.
20? Yeah, I think 20 is a fair number.
Under 20.
So if I told you he gets 20, you guys still just jam him in there? He can't get higher?
It's not a full-on bust at that point. If he's in the teens, I'd say it's a bust.
I think 20's where if I faded him, I'm not pissed. What number am I pissed if I faded him? It's got to be 30 is the number I'm pissed. 20 is kind of the middle ground. Yeah. If he gets like 15, I'm naked. Like, yeah,
correct. You'll know. I mean, we'll know. I mean, if he's a bust or not. No, it's not to like argue about. I think he's a really good play. You obviously think he's not. I mean, Crain thinks he's a good play. It is what it is. I mean, we'll see. Because guess what? That's the beauty of it. They're playing this game today, and we'll find out when it's all said and done.
Yep. All right. So
Big T's still just pissed, man. Look at that.
He's pissed
about something. There's
I'm
something going on.
This freaking website. I'm not pissed about Hopkins.
20 minutes. It's going to be back up and running. We got 20 minutes apparently. So.
Somebody in the chat said Tony gets quiet when he gets pissed. And like,
I'm not
so
pissed
true.
about
That is
Hopkins.
the truest. That is the truest statement that the chat has ever come up with. When Big T is mad, he goes silent. You know,
it got me red, but it wasn't about Hopkins. Why I'm mad? I'll tell you that.
That is a great.
You got the read though.
That is the optimal read. I mean, we've been working with Big T for a while. You know when you piss Big T off when he goes quiet.
It's not Hopkins, though, just to put it on the record.
Okay, Rams at Tampa. Hoop, you like anybody here?
Oh, gosh, it's just going to be Chris Godwin, I think, for me. I do think Leonard Fournette's interesting just because in the games where they've played well, he's just gone off. Now, they haven't played well in a while, and the team looks like shit. Tom Brady looks like shit. Not sure. I might try to get a little Lenny. Maybe. I don't know. I'll see what you guys. What I do with Lenny is dependent on what you guys have to say, which I think you guys are both going to say fuck him and he sucks.
Okay, so I was having a discussion last night. I'm like, I could play a little Lenny, but dude, I just can't do it. Like, yeah, I can't look at, man. Like, that range is just too strong to pay 6-6 for Lenny, and like I just think this game ends up like 14-10, and nobody gets there, and
it's got to be the two most disappointing teams this season.
Oh, easily,
right? Yeah. It's I'll have some Godwin though at 6-2 because Tom Brady just can't throw down the field, and the targets are massive: 12, 13, 11, 6, 10. So I will have some Godwin on DK. I'll have some Cup. I think the injury will keep people off of him. I don't think it'll take much to get over the field, and then a little bit of the tight ends, but not much else here. This is not a fun game.
No, Tony, is this a fun game for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the two teams that those of you that have watched the Prep Factory all year, I've said Tampa Bay. I was betting all the money against them making the playoffs, against them making the Super Bowl. I've hated them all year, and the only team that's been worse has been the Rams. The Rams have been so bad too. So you guys are all over that. The expectations. I mean, these two teams, they're probably the two favorites or close to it coming into the year in the NFC. They're both just terrible train wrecks. I don't want any part of this. Both defenses, if anything is a strength on these two teams, it's the defenses. And I don't know. I kind of think this game just busts, like Crain said, where 14-10, 13-10. I mean, you could play the volume guys. I mean, Lenny, Godwin would be those guys. I'm not playing Cooper Kupp. That's kind of a strong take, I think. Even though he's not going to get crazy ownership, I usually always play him. He just looked banged up to me last week too, limping around and stuff. The last couple weeks, honestly, and he should. He doesn't have any help out there, and I just can't pay $8,900 for him. But yeah, I think the only guys I would even consider are Godwin. I guess you could always put Evans in the player pool, and Uncle Lenny. Yeah, he's going to get volume. Still falls below those two at running back, but it is what it is. I think this game plays ugly.
You guys like the Bucs defense?
Yeah, I like both of these
defenses.
Yeah, in on the defenses for sure.
All right. Hey, guys, I got some good news. We got the 1,400 likes. The people came through. I undershot with 1,200. Hoops said, no. We got to do 1,400. We got there. 2,600 of you watching. Appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. But we got 1,400 likes, which means we get the plays of the day. Who? The rich parent play of the day. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, Big T better put the mute button on because I had this guy pegged coming into the week as my guy. I love DeAndre Hopkins today. I mean, I absolutely love the guy. I mean, I think he is elite, and I think the matchup is good. The offense has turned around a little bit, despite two pick sixes. You said, we gotta that can't be considered part of scoring apparently. In on Hopkins.
I mean, how's that turning it around?
All right,
Dalton throwing 2 pick sixes.
You take one. Pick sixes have you take one off the board. It's still the game.
What does that have to do with putting it together?
The game's still in the 60s from offensive pieces. All right, is what I'm trying to say. They scored 70. You take one off, it's in the 60s. DeAndre Hopkins is going to smash today. Love him at 7.9K. I think he goes for 36.5 fantasy points.
That would be a victory for you guys. I will next week and take the L when you get a 36 piece.
All right. Well, Tony, let's hear who your workbench play of the day is.
Yeah, I kind of talked about it right out of the gate, but my favorite spot of the year so far is this Chargers spot, and it's not Eckler. I do think Eckler's a smash, obviously, but my favorite part of that game, so I'll just give the combo, Justin Herbert to, let's say, Josh Palmer, because it's my favorite spot of the year. Both guys are underpriced to me, and I think they totally nuked the slate, so that's where I'm going.
All right, my 37X play of the day. I'm going back to wide receiver, not going with Hopkins, so I'm going with Mr. Devontae Adams. The guy's priced about $1,000 too cheap. He's at an elite spot. He's going to be under 10% owned, and I don't understand why people aren't playing Devontae. I get last week he had the flu and he shit the bed, but he's somebody that is just such an elite play this week. And I I really just don't get why people are going to it. Makes no sense to me, guys. I don't get it. It also makes no sense to me.
It's just that he sucked. Is the only, I'm going to play him too, but he just hasn't been good.
I'm playing him.
I love Devontae Adams this week, and thank you guys for
He's
keeping
got
that
a
ownership
small
low.
noodle car throwing to him.
Yeah, he might have an inverted penis at this point.
Yeah, like if he tried to hit him in the side of the head with it, it wouldn't even feel it. It would just be
it just hip thrust to the side of the face.
Hip on side of the head.
Oh, I don't know how, like, this show, we just spent an hour talking about cocks hitting your face, but here we are. Like, I don't know where we went wrong, but I was early in the show because this thing has been going on all year. Thanks, Gabe Davis. You helped us out here. Yeah, that's too good.
The best part is I didn't even mean to say Gabe. When I said it, I meant Diggs.
Oh, it's too good.
Oh, man. All right, Hoop, tell the people what's coming up next over on Run Pure Sports.
Yeah, we got the Up to Lock show. I know a lot of people in the chat have been asking about the site. Yeah, I got a slight issue here. It should be up within 15 minutes. The one thing, don't just continue to refresh if you are a member, because that definitely slows things down. But we're going to have this puppy up. If we don't have it up relatively soon, we have get in the Discord first off if you're a member, because we have everything in the backup. What's that content backup channel in Discord. We'll make sure you guys are all taken care of. Apologize for the issue. We're working hard to get it fixed, and like I said, according to our guy, it should be up in 15 minutes. So stick with us. We'll get it fixed. We'll get some winners. We'll get to the winner's circle today, but Up to Lock's coming up next, obviously with JSU, Holden, and Dunkel.
All right, Tony, how you feeling about the slate, man?
I'm feeling good about the slate, feeling shitty about the site. The site's got me tilted, but they're moving it over to a new host, like Hoop said. And if you're in the Discord, you'll for sure get all of our content. Those of you that aren't in Discord, I mean, we apologize.
Bad news. Yeah, bad news.
Do.
Yeah,
get in Discord, but we're gonna have a email or something that goes out if this thing doesn't get fixed. But I'm confident that we're gonna get it fixed.
And this is gonna be hopefully the last day we have this issue, because it's moving over. Been a pain in the ass. It hurts us just as much as everyone else, and we apologize.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Make sure you stay tuned for Up to Lock for the members, for Tony, for Hoop. I'm Eric. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to Simon for producing. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.